Chapter 5288. All right, you can leave now. Of course. Don't worry. As long as you don't tell anyone about what happened today, I won't tell anyone about it. The 10 Fiends Demon King looked at the Great Master. When the Great Master heard that, he looked a little better. If the Great Master knew about what had happened today, he would lose a lot of face. However, he had to let the other evil spirits know about what had happened today, because there were still some evil spirits hiding in this area. The Great Master's eyes suddenly flashed with killing intent. As the saying went, a small person wasn't a gentleman, and a great man wasn't ruthless. In order to protect his reputation, the Great Master didn't mind killing people. "I owe you a favor," said Lin Feng. The Great Master cupped his fists and left with the 3 strong cultivators. After they left, only Lin Feng and the 10 Fiends Demon King were left. Lin Feng looked at the 10 Fiends Demon King and said, "I really didn't expect you to be so strong." The 10 Fiends Demon King said, "Of course, I'm very strong. My strength isn't something you can fathom." Lin Feng pursed his lips. "You're really panting when I say you're fat." Lin Feng said, "Isn't the Great Master one of the strongest cultivators in the reincarnation passage? Even the Great Master wasn't a match for you. How could you have almost died when you entered the depths of the reincarnation passage?" The 10 Fiends Demon King said, "What Great Master? What Great Master? They're just a bunch of self-deceiving people. They didn't enter the depths of the reincarnation passage. There's only darkness there. After passing through that darkness, there's still a long journey ahead. It's an endless journey. Those guys can't even pass through that darkness, so they don't know how terrifying that journey is." "I see." After hearing the 10 Fiends Demon King's explanation, Lin Feng couldn't help but nod. Lin Feng felt that the 10 Fiends Demon King had something he wasn't telling him. However, Lin Feng didn't ask. If the 10 Fiends Demon King wanted to tell him, he would tell him of his own accord. If he didn't want to tell him, even if he asked, he still wouldn't tell him. Lin Feng replied, "I want to go up and take a look. To see your old lover?" The 10 evil Demon Kings teased. Lin Feng could not help but roll his eyes. Why did this guy speak so crudely? Is that what you call an old lover? That's called a lover, okay? Lin Feng said, "Nothing good can come out of your filthy mouth," said 10 Fiend Demon King. "You dare speak to me in such a tone? Are you not afraid that I will kill you?" Lin Feng replied, "Of course not, because I know you won't kill me." "Why are you so confident? Who gave you the confidence?" The 10 Fiends Demon King narrowed his eyes and said, "Because we're family." Lin Feng said. 10 Fiend Demon King curled his lips and said, "Who told you that we are family?" Lin Feng asked, "If we aren't family, why do you keep helping me?" The 10 Fiends Demon King fell silent. Then he said, "You should go and see your woman." Lin Feng nodded. He flew towards the ancient tree. The 10 Fiends Demon King remained where he was, not following Lin Feng. Finally, Lin Feng found the enormous reincarnation tree hole. However, the reincarnation tree hole was protected by restrictions that could not be opened. Thus, Lin Feng could not enter. Lin Feng could sense a powerful reincarnation force from the reincarnation tree hole. The reincarnation tree hole could help people recover their lost memories. What was the principle behind this? Why was the reincarnation tree hole able to do all this? To tell the truth, Lin Feng was rather shocked by this. Sometimes, he could not help but sigh. The world was so big. There were all sorts of strange things. "Yao Guang, I've come to see you. Are you well?" Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. Although Lin Feng knew that Feng Yaoguang couldn't possibly hear him, Lin Feng still couldn't help but say some things to her. Back then, when Feng Yaoguang left, Lin Feng was still very weak. Many years had passed since then. Lin Feng had already grown up. Of course, Lin Feng wasn't particularly strong. But at the very least, true immortals would have a hard time killing him. More importantly, Lin Feng was still young. As time passed, he would definitely become stronger. "Yao Guang, I'll wait for you outside. I'll wait for you to come out. Let's continue our relationship," Lin Feng said. He stayed at Feng Yaoguang's place for 3 whole days. 3 days later, Lin Feng met up with the 10 Fiends Demon King. TSK. Looks like that woman is definitely prettier than a fairy. Otherwise, you wouldn't be so infatuated with her. The Tin Fiend's Demon King said. Lin Feng said, I used to think that you were a proper person, but now, I'm starting to think that you're not a proper person. Tin Fiend Demon King replied, I've never said that I was a proper person. Lin Feng didn't continue talking about this topic with the Tin Fiend's Demon King. He recalled what the Tin Fiend's Demon King had said earlier. Lin Feng asked curiously, with your strength, occupying a territory and becoming an overlord would be a very happy thing. Why did you choose to guard the gate? Guard the gate? The Tin Fiend's Demon King was slightly taken aback, but he soon understood what Lin Feng meant. Lin Feng had said that guarding the entrance to the reincarnation passage was the gate. The Tin Fiend's Demon King was speechless. You're really ignorant, do you know that? How am I ignorant? Lin Feng retorted. Guarding the entrance to the reincarnation passage is such a sacred and important task, yet you said it was the gate. If you're not ignorant, then what are you? The Tin Fiend's Demon King said. Is the entrance to the reincarnation passage very important? Lin Feng asked. The Tin Fiend's Demon King seemed to realize that he had let the cat out of the bag. How am I supposed to know? I don't know. Lin Feng said. Just tell me. I'll definitely keep it a secret. Why should I tell you? What does it have to do with you? The Tin Fiend's Demon King said. Immediately after, the Tin Fiend's Demon King soared into the sky and quickly flew away. Wait for me. Lin Feng quickly chased after the Tin Fiend's Demon King. They returned to the reincarnation passage once more. You can't go back the way you came. However, with me protecting you, there shouldn't be any problems. The Tin Fiend's Demon King said. The Tin Fiend's Demon King released a ray of demonic light that enveloped Lin Feng. Then, the Tin Fiend's Demon King and Lin Feng went back the way they came. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile version website. Chapter 5289. If I go back the way I came, what kind of dangers will I encounter? Lin Feng asked. Some strange things will happen, said Lin Feng. The Tin Fiend's Demon King glanced at Lin Feng. For example, your body will suddenly grow red hair for no reason, and you'll become a red-haired monster. Or you'll discover that your body's vitality is rapidly disappearing, and then, your body gradually turned into a corpse, and from then on, you were completely imprisoned in the reincarnation passage. Then, you became an evil ghost in the reincarnation passage, and there was no way for you to leave the reincarnation passage. F***CK. That's so scary. Lin Feng couldn't help but cry out. The Tin Fiend's Demon King smiled mockingly. What's wrong? Do you know fear now? Lin Feng said. People are always afraid of the unknown. Apart from being afraid, they're also curious. So I want to know what's causing such a terrifying and strange situation. Even I don't know. Perhaps this is one of the secrets of the reincarnation passage. The most terrifying thing about the reincarnation passage isn't entering the darkness on both sides, but going back the way you came. If I'm not wrong, the reason for all this should be related to the terrifying existences in the depths. After hearing the Tin Fiend's Demon King's words, Lin Feng was actually a little worried. Because he was worried that even with the Tin Fiend's Demon King protecting him, going back the way he came, he was afraid that things wouldn't go smoothly for Yi. This was a serious problem. Lin Feng couldn't help but take a deep breath. He hoped that everything would go smoothly. The wind whistled around him, and everything was dark. He couldn't see anything. Lin Feng was more nervous. Everything about the reincarnation passage was so mysterious to him. There were many places. It was full of unknown terrors. Even a terrifying existence like the Tin Fiend's Demon King couldn't truly understand the many secrets of the reincarnation passage. This point, Lin Feng was indeed shocked. How strong did one have to be able to explore the secrets of the reincarnation passage? This was truly a puzzling matter. Not good. The Tin Fiend's Demon King couldn't help but say, What's wrong? Lin Feng asked. He felt that something terrible must have happened. Could it be? He was worried about something. Had it happened? This was really something that made him feel extremely worried. Something terrible is coming. The Tin Fiend's Demon King said. Is it coming because of me? Lin Feng asked with a serious expression. That's right. The Tin Fiend's Demon King nodded. What is it? Lin Feng asked. I don't know. The Fiend's Demon King, even the Tin Fiend's Demon King of Demon, this was too frightening. Thus, Lin Feng's facial expression became grave and solemn. Now, he felt like he was facing a great enemy. When the Tin Evil Demon King saw how nervous Lin Feng was, he laughed. Ha 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 ha. You're so scared. I was just joking, and you're so scared. Lin Feng was speechless. You're scaring me to death. The Tin Fiend's Demon King also knew that it wasn't a good time to make such a joke, so he said, don't take it to heart. Life is full of surprises. That's what makes it interesting. Lin Feng said, it's okay to be surprised, but don't be frightened. I just want to leave this place smoothly. I will. The Tin Fiend's Demon King said. On the second day, Yi Zichen was still alive. The Tin Fiend's Demon King's expression became extremely serious. The Tin Fiend's Demon King's expression naturally didn't escape Lin Feng's eyes. What are you trying to do this time? You're not trying to trick me again, are you? Lin Feng said. The Tin Fiend's Demon King said, no, something is really coming. It's right behind us. Seeing the Tin Fiend's Demon King's extremely serious expression, Lin Feng couldn't help but feel a little nervous. Just as Lin Feng had said before, everyone was afraid of the unknown. Lin Feng was a normal person. He was afraid of those unknown things. Naturally, he was also afraid. Like now, Lin Feng was filled with fear towards the unknown existence in the reincarnation passage. Not long after, Lin Feng sensed a terrifying aura. That aura, it was extremely sinister. In an instant, Lin Feng even had a feeling. The world in front of him changed greatly. It didn't seem to be the reincarnation passage anymore. It was hell. It was still the 18 levels of hell. The reason for this feeling was because of the arrival of that unknown existence. What exactly was it that came? Lin Feng didn't know. He originally wanted to use his spiritual will to sense it, but his spiritual will was suppressed to a very high degree. He couldn't use his spiritual will to sense the other party at all. Lin Feng's mood was actually a little bad. It seemed that it was impossible to leave the reincarnation passageway smoothly. The Tin Fiend's Demon King was very fast. He was even faster than Lin Feng. The speed of the unknown existence behind him was also extremely fast. Lin Feng could feel it. The speed of that unknown existence. It was even faster than the Tin Fiend's Demon King, because that sinister and terrifying feeling was getting stronger and stronger. This meant that they were getting closer and closer, which was why he had such a feeling. Living creature of the Yang realm, you shouldn't have come here. Suddenly, a sinister and terrifying voice resounded in Lin Feng's mind. Who are you? Lin Feng asked. I am the existence that dominates everything, including your life. This terrifying creature said. This guy's words were very self-righteous. But in reality, Lin Feng knew that this existence was definitely extremely terrifying. Even if it wasn't as powerful as he said, it was definitely an unimaginable existence. Come, follow me. That voice resounded in Lin Feng's mind again. That voice was filled with bewitchment. Lin Feng's eyes. He became confused. A voice in his heart told him, turn around, enter the darkness. Thus, Lin Feng turned around and flew into the darkness. However, he was caught by the Tin Fiend's Demon King. Bewitching technique. What a domineering method. This brat is not an ordinary person. To think that he would be bewitched. Amazing, truly amazing. The Tin Fiend's Demon King was shocked. Guardian of the passage. You just have to do your job well. Don't interfere in things you shouldn't interfere in. A cold voice came from the darkness. I was family with him in my previous life. Do you think I should interfere or not? The Tin Fiend's Demon King said. The existence was stunned for a moment, then said sarcastically, how ridiculous. You don't have any memories of your previous life. And you actually said that you were family with that brat in your previous life. Do you think that I am easy to deceive? If you insist on interfering in this matter, I will kill you today as well. You two will accompany each other on the road to the Yellow Springs, so you won't feel lonely. 6th update. Please subscribe. Please recommend me. Please subscribe. End of this chapter. Chapter 5290. Hee hee, do you think I'm scared? The 10 evil demon king replied with a sneer. You really refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit, that existence said with a sneer. What is a toast? What is a forfeit? I do things based on my heart, the 10 evil demon king replied. On the other hand, you should obediently return to the depths. Why make things difficult for him? It's simply beneath your dignity. You're courting death. The voice of that existence became colder and colder. The words of the 10 evil demon king. It was obvious that he had angered that existence. In the eyes of that existence, the 10 evil demon king should choose to submit. Then, he would obediently hand over Lin Feng. However, the 10 evil demon king did not do so. The 10 evil demon king was still protecting Lin Feng. This was the most unacceptable point for that existence. For a human cultivator, he actually dared to go against him. Was he going to rebel? So, that existence's heart was filled with a dense killing intent. That killing intent, there was no intention of hiding it at all. He could feel the killing intent emitted from that existence's body. The 10 evil demon king also sneered. He lightly tapped on the space between Lin Feng's eyebrows 3 times. Lin Feng's gaze became clear. Don't listen to any sounds, and don't communicate with anyone other than me, the 10 evil demon king said. Lin Feng hurriedly nodded. He was also covered in cold sweat. Now that he thought about what happened before, he still felt a chill run down his spine. Lin Feng couldn't help but take a deep breath. Fortunately, the 10 evil demon king was here. Or else, he didn't know how many times he would have died today. But even so, Lin Feng still didn't regret entering the reincarnation passage. Because, within the reincarnation passage, there were people he wanted to protect. Moan. At this moment, a dragon's roar came from behind. A black dragon appeared. It was about 100 meters long. It quickly chased after Lin Feng. After seeing the black dragon, Lin Feng's mind couldn't help but tremble slightly. Clearly, the black dragon was a move evolved by the existence in the darkness. That existence was still some distance away from Lin Feng and the others. However, this distance wasn't too far. This was because that existence was already able to unleash a divine ability attack on Lin Feng and the others. The black dragon bared its fangs and brandished its claws. It was extremely ferocious and its body exuded a terrifying aura. It opened its bloody maw and tried to swallow Lin Feng and the 10 Fiend Demon King. Dragon-slaying art. The 10 Fiends Demon King attacked, then waved his right hand and slashed behind him. A beam of cold light condensed, its speed as fast as lightning. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of the black dragon and beheaded it. Lin Feng was shocked. The 10 evil demon kings were truly powerful. Interesting. This is really interesting. If I'm not mistaken then, you should have entered the deep region in the past. I remember that you were still very weak at that time. I didn't expect you to grow so quickly over the years. That terrifying existence said. Of course, what he said about being very weak was only a relative term. Back then, the 10 Fiends Demon King was also an extremely tyrannical existence. However, compared to now, there was still a gap. That's because I had just recovered at that time. I wanted to go to the depths to look for something that I had left behind. The 10 Fiends Demon King said. Oh, you have something that you left behind in the depths. That's really surprising. What did you leave behind? The existence asked. It's not convenient for me to tell you, the 10 Fiends Demon King said. I already knew that you weren't a simple person. Otherwise, you would have died countless times. But you managed to walk out from the depths. Now that your strength is so tyrannical, it seems that you must have brought out what you need from the depths. However, so what if your cultivation has recovered quite well? In front of me, you are still not that strong. That existence sneered. He had an almost blind confidence in himself. Of course, the main reason was because this fellow was simply too powerful. He was so powerful that it was shocking. Therefore, he could look down on the heavens. He looked down on everyone. The 10 Fiends Demon King said, if I were you, I would choose to leave. There are some reasons that I don't want to say. You can experience it for yourself. Hee, you want to scare me? In the myriad of worlds, there are not many people who can intimidate me, and you are not one of them. Therefore, today, You will die without a doubt. Of course, before I kill you, I will let you watch how I eat that brat. Don't you want to protect him? Watching the person you want to protect being eaten alive by me must be a great torture for you. The existence said sinisterly. F***ck. This bastard. Lin Feng was speechless. This fellow was too evil. Right now, his cultivation was not enough to deal with him, but once his cultivation increased, he would definitely take revenge in the future. F***ck. If a tiger doesn't show its might, do you think I'm a sick cat? F***ck. It's better to bully an old man than a poor young man. Haven't you heard of this before? F***ck. 30 years in the east, 30 years in the west. Just you wait. Right now, Lin Feng was cursing that guy in the dark in his heart. Other than cursing that guy, he really didn't know what else to do. This feeling of powerlessness made Lin Feng's mood extremely bad. He had never been one to sit back and wait for death. But now, it seemed, there was nothing he could do. The Ten Fiends Demon King and Lin Feng were still caught up by that terrifying existence. The Ten Fiends Demon King and that terrifying existence engaged in a great battle. However, the strange thing was Lin Feng could not see that existence. That existence. It could actually become invisible. He fought with the Ten Fiends Demon King in his invisible state. Lin Feng opened his eye of origin. At this moment, Lin Feng saw a black shadow. That black shadow should be the existence in the dark. He seemed to have noticed that Lin Feng was spying on him. The black shadow turned to look at Lin Feng. Then, Lin Feng saw a pair of sinister and terrifying eyes. When he saw those eyes, Lin Feng even felt as if he had fallen into the 18th level of hell. Too terrifying. That existence was simply too terrifying. The Ten Fiends Demon King was very powerful, but he was not a match for that existence. After 100 rounds, the Ten Fiends Demon King had obviously fallen into a disadvantageous position. To be able to increase your strength to such a level in such a short time is really amazing. I'm very curious about your previous life. You must have been a terrifying existence, otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to recover so quickly. But now, it's time for everything to end, said Lin Feng. As the voice of that existence fell, he sent out 3 consecutive palms, sending the Ten Fiends Demon King flying. End of this chapter. Chapter 5291. Suppress. Then, that existence quickly rushed towards the 10 evil demon kings. He wanted to suppress the 10 evil demon kings in one fell swoop. The 10 evil demon kings' expression changed slightly. It was too late to dodge. However, right at this moment, that being let out a miserable shriek as a bloody hole appeared in his chest. Curse. The power of the curse. It's you. That existence turned his head to look at Lin Feng. In his heart, endless fury gushed out of his heart. What a terrifying existence he was. He was actually injured by Lin Feng. If he was injured by the 10 evil demon kings, he would not be so angry. After all, although the 10 evil demon kings were not his match, but the 10 evil demon kings were still extremely terrifying. Therefore, even if they could injure him, it was understandable. However, being injured by Lin Feng was another situation. In the eyes of that existence, Lin Feng, he was no different from an ant. For such a high and mighty existence like him to be injured by Lin Feng, for him, it was simply unacceptable. It was simply like a great humiliation. So, this existence was extremely angry. This existence only wanted to kill now. The 10 evil demon kings wanted to seize this opportunity to further injure this existence. The 10 evil demon kings rushed over. This terrifying existence blasted a palm towards the 10 evil demon kings. Bang! He and the 10 evil demon kings collided fiercely. Along with the sound of the violent collision, there was a loud bang. The 10 evil demon kings were sent flying. Then, this terrifying existence charged towards Lin Feng. Not good. The 10 evil demon kings' expression changed. Damn, this is troublesome. Lin Feng's expression could not help but suddenly change. Danger. Danger. It was really dangerous. Seeing that terrifying existence charging towards him, Lin Feng felt the threat of death. That terrifying existence wanted to quickly kill Lin Feng. But at this moment, Rumble. A rumbling sound came from the darkness. Lin Feng heard it. The 10 evil demon kings heard it. That terrifying existence also heard it. The terrifying existence stopped and stared into the darkness. Next, a man with chains on his back pulled a sarcophagus over. Lin Feng was shocked when he saw the man pulling the coffin. Isn't that Senior Macho's lover, Luo Xinqiu? It was a sad love story. In the past, the two of them were in love. However, bad luck appeared on the man, so he found a woman and pretended to have a new lover. He wanted Macho to forget him. Macho had suffered a lot because of this. She hoped that one day, he would change his mind and come back to see her. In the cave residence where they used to live, Senior Macho had waited for a lifetime, but he never came back. Senior Macho. She left the world with endless pain and longing. She was in pain. This was because the oath he had once made was no longer valid. He did it for another woman. He had abandoned her. Therefore, her heart was filled with endless hatred. However, the deeper the hatred, the deeper the love. Before she died, she missed him very much. Until she died, she kept muttering his name. And him? He knew that he had encountered bad luck and could not give Senior Macho a good future. Therefore, he did not want to delay Senior Macho's life. Therefore, he only acted for one show. Then, he became the coffin carrier. He originally thought that Senior Macho would find happiness. However, Senior Macho did not find happiness. Sometimes, some good intentions, not necessarily good things would happen. Lin Feng had seen him a few times. He had also been revived briefly. However, there were some things that he could not resist. The coffin carrier could appear anywhere. No one knew who was buried in the coffin. In the ancient times, he did not stop. Perhaps he would be destroyed with the destruction of the era. It was also possible. The destruction of the era. The sarcophagus still existed. To outsiders, all of this was a mystery. This is, the terrifying existence spoke. It's actually this sarcophagus. Then he spoke. He seemed to recognize the ancient sarcophagus. Actually, in the beginning, he was pulling an ancient bronze coffin, but later it became a sarcophagus. Something must have happened in the middle. However, as for what exactly happened, no one knew. Lin Feng saw it through the eye of origin. When that existence recognized the sarcophagus, he quickly dodged to the side. He was afraid of the sarcophagus. This made Lin Feng extremely shocked. He could not believe it. He could not imagine how powerful that existence was. However, he was actually afraid of the sarcophagus. In the sarcophagus, the buried existence. It actually made that existence so afraid. This was too unbelievable. His gaze was lost. There was only the front. Therefore, he looked ahead, pulling the sarcophagus along the reincarnation passage. Was he going to enter the endless depths of the reincarnation passage? Senior, Lin Feng called out. However, the other party did not respond to Lin Feng. He had always been like this, because his consciousness had sunk. There were only some special moments. Only then would he wake up for a short period of time. Senior Macho, do you still remember? Lin Feng did not give up. Instead, he continued to ask. However, he still did not move. He continued to pull the sarcophagus towards the depths of the reincarnation passage. Brat, shut up. That terrifying existence quickly charged towards Lin Feng. He did not want Lin Feng to continue speaking. The 10 evil demon kings charged over, wanting to stop him. But at this time, that terrifying existence actually split into two. One charged towards Lin Feng, while the other charged towards the 10 evil demon kings. This time, this was troublesome. Lin Feng knew that he could not escape from this terrifying existence. Therefore, he did not think of escaping either. He took out the ancient bronze mirror that Senior Macho had left behind. Now, he had to treat a dead horse as a living one. In the past, this ancient bronze mirror had once awakened his consciousness. Lin Feng activated the ancient bronze mirror. Then, the ancient bronze mirror shone towards him. A beam of light shone on his body. However, he still did not respond. The ancient bronze mirror could not cause any reaction from him. What should he do? Lin Feng suddenly thought of the poem that he had written for Senior Macho. Thus, Lin Feng began to recite. Grass grows under the Dragon Creek. Crows make noise at the top of the city. Who is in this city? Pomegranates are planted in the corners of the city. Black hair tied to 5 horses, golden threads tied to 2 cows. White fish drives a lotus boat, swimming 10 miles at night. No one knows when he returns, secretly goes to the Agarwood Tower. The gauze bed leans on Yao Se. The waning moon tilts the curtain hooks. Today the hibiscus flowers fall. Tomorrow the paulownia trees fall. If I fail to do business, how can I be called macho? When Lin Feng recited this poem, he stopped. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile version of reading website. Chapter 5292. Macho. His eyes became much clearer as he muttered Senior Macho's name. Immediately, he turned to look at the person reciting the poem. You are. He looked at Lin Feng with a puzzled expression. F***CK. Is there a problem? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter. Logically speaking, he must have recognized her. However, it seemed that he didn't know him. This was too strange. Back then, when Luo Late Autumn became clear, they had communicated with each other. Luo Shinshio had learned about Senior Macho from him. Now, Luo Shinshio had forgotten who he was. Was it because he had forgotten Senior Macho's tragic life? Thinking about it, it was possible. Perhaps it had something to do with his curse. Help. At this time, Lin Feng couldn't care about anything else. He shouted for help. Walala. Luo Shinshio waved the chain. Countless runes appeared on the surface of the chain. Each rune seemed to contain a power that could destroy heaven and earth. The chain swept towards the existence. Facing the attack of the chain, the existence didn't dare to be careless. Bang! Along with the sound of a violent collision, the existence and the chain collided fiercely, and something shocking happened. That powerful existence. He was sent flying by the chain. He was so strong, but he couldn't block the chain's attack. You are the coffin carrier. Your duty is to pull the coffin forward. You actually stopped to attack me. Do you know what you are doing? That existence shouted in a deep voice. This guy definitely knew something about coffin carrier. He didn't know what kind of existence this existence was. He seemed to know countless things. Was he an evil ghost from the reincarnation passage? It was hard to say. It was possible, but it was also possible that he wasn't. Scram. Luo Shinshio coldly scolded. The existence clenched his fists. His body was trembling slightly, which showed how angry he was right now. No wonder he was so angry. He was such a high and mighty existence. He was actually scolded with the word, get lost? To him, it was completely unacceptable for his pride. However, he knew. How terrifying was that stone coffin? The coffin carrier had been pulling the stone coffin for a long time, so he must be extraordinary as well. Therefore, even though his heart was filled with grievances, but he still couldn't do anything about it. I asked you to scram. Didn't you hear me? Ten Fiend Demon King sneered. The clone that was fighting with him had already separated from him and fused with his original body. No, then die. Luo Shinshio continued. He was indescribably strong. The corner of that being's mouth twitched violently. He didn't dare to stay. He quickly left. Lin Feng was shocked. How could Luo Shinshio be so awesome? Of course, Luo Shinshio might have been powerful back then, but he shouldn't have been this powerful. So the reason why Luo Shinshio became so terrifying was related to the stone coffin. However, what was the use of becoming even more terrifying? He lived like a walking corpse. It would never stop. Most of the time, he forgot everything. He even forgot the person he loved the most. Who are you? Could it be her descendant? Luo Shinshio looked at Lin Feng and asked. His voice was trembling. Lin Feng sighed in his heart. It seemed that Luo Shinshio really didn't remember the past. Lin Feng guessed that Luo Shinshio must have thought that after he chose to leave, Macho, who was hurt by him, might have married someone else. Then, she had a descendant. This was Luo Shinshio's initial plan. If Macho really ended up like this, Luo Shinshio would probably feel gratified. Even if he felt terrible in his heart. But as long as he saw that the woman he loved had a good ending and could be happy, he would give her his blessings. He was willing to bear all the pain. Lin Feng was now facing a dilemma. Should he tell Luo Shinxue the truth? Or should he follow Luo Shinxue's words? If he told Luo Shinxue the truth, he would definitely blame himself. But soon, Lin Feng made a decision. He didn't want to lie to Luo Shinxue. He had the right to know everything. Even though, when Luo Shinxue knew everything, he would feel incomparably guilty and incomparably painful. But he still had the right to know everything. To let him know. The woman he once loved. She also loved him deeply. He, Luo Shinxue, was the love of Macho's life. Even if she died alone and sorrowfully, she would never forget her love for Luo Shinxue. I am not Senior Macho's descendant. I only inherited some of her things. Lin Feng said. How is she? Luo Shinxue asked. She was waiting for the day when you would change your mind and go to see her. Just like that, she waited and waited for a very long time. But you didn't come back. Her body became worse and worse, and finally, she couldn't hold on any longer. On her deathbed, she still murmured your name. Lin Feng said, Why is it like this? Why is it like this? Why is she so stupid? Luo Shinxue couldn't accept all this. He grabbed his own hair and kept tearing it, constantly roaring. Macho, the woman he loved deeply. It would actually be such a tragic ending. He felt that his heart was in pain, in great pain. She loved you very much, so she still loved you for the rest of her life. Even if you hurt her, she didn't give up on her love for you. It's just that in the end, she won't be able to see you for the last time. Lin Feng sighed and said, I didn't really want to hurt her. I've become like this. I can't take care of her anymore. I don't want her to be in so much pain, Luo Shinxue said. He blamed himself incomparably. Incomparable regret. Tears flowed out. He began to cry loudly. It wasn't that men didn't cry. It was just that most of the time, men were stronger. Encountering difficulties, encountering trouble, he would bury it in his heart. Then, slowly endure it. No matter how tired he was, he would never show it. However, in this world, in the end, there were still some things that could make these heroes cry. Ah, Luo Shinxue let out a painful roar. His eyes. He became confused again. He couldn't stay awake for a long time. Even if he could, it would only be for a short period of time. After a short period of clarity, Luo Shinxue would once again become muddle-headed. From the looks of it, Luo Shinxue, he couldn't hold on any longer. I regret it. Perhaps I should have told Macho the truth back then. That way, she wouldn't have died so miserably. Luo Shinxue closed his eyes. Tears. But they couldn't stop flowing out. No one would laugh at Luo Shinxue. In this world, there were too many things that made people sigh endlessly. Some lovers couldn't get married. This was one of them. When Luo Shinxue opened his eyes, he had once again become a cursed creature. Rumble, rumble. A loud sound shook the sky. He pulled the sarcophagus and walked towards the depths of the reincarnation passage. Senior, Lin Feng called out. Luo Shinxue no longer paid attention to Lin Feng. The great evil demon king patted Lin Feng's shoulder and said, People like them are destined to be tragic figures. That's right. People like them. It was indeed too tragic. Even if they were evil ghosts, even if they had to endure endless pain. But one day in the future, perhaps there would be a day when they would return. But people like Luo Shinxue, they would never be able to rest their lives. They had to keep moving forward. Such a person, perhaps, there would never be hope. He was destined to be a lonely traveler. End of chapter. Chapter 52-93. Luo Shinxue pulled the sarcophagus into the depths of the reincarnation passage. Luo Shinxue's figure could no longer be seen. Only then did Lin Feng retract his gaze. Let's go, 10 evil demon kings said. Lin Feng nodded. His heart was somewhat heavy. In this world, there were too many things that could affect one's mood. There were also too many things. It made one feel powerless. And all he did was to continuously raise his cultivation base. Lin Feng left with 10 evil demon king. They arrived at the exit of the reincarnation passage. I'll send you out now, 10 evil demon kings said. Lin Feng said, Are we really family? Otherwise, why would you spare no effort to help me? 10 evil demon kings said, I follow my heart. So the voice of the heart won't lie. Lin Feng said. Who knows? 10 evil demon kings said. Will that guy come looking for you? Lin Feng thought of that terrifying existence. 10 evil demon king had completely infuriated that guy by helping him. Lin Feng was naturally more worried about 10 evil demon king's safety. After all, 10 evil demon king was not that guy's match. 10 evil demon king said, you don't have to worry at all. He won't dare to come here. After I recover for a while, I'll be able to beat that guy up. Is that really the case? Lin Feng asked doubtfully. 10 evil demon king nodded and said, of course, I've never been a liar. I hope we'll have a chance to meet again. Lin Feng said, let's leave the future to fate. 10 evil demon kings said. Immediately, 10 evil demon kings stretched out his hand. A devil light enveloped Lin Feng. Next, Lin Feng disappeared. When Lin Feng reappeared, he was shocked. Lin Feng had already arrived in the outside world. Big brother is out. Lil Sun was delighted when he saw Lin Feng. In fact, Lin Feng had only been in there for half a month. He had completed the mission of entering the void ahead of time. Did everything go well? Cursed Doll asked. Lin Feng replied, it went quite smoothly. How is that big sister? The sea woman asked. Lin Feng replied, she's in a deep sleep. Perhaps we'll have to wait for a while before she wakes up. Since you've come out, I'm going to leave, said the god of the gate of reincarnation. Where are you going? Lin Feng asked. I want to find sacred ancestor Samsara's descendants, but it's been so long. Are they still alive? Said the god of sacred ancestor Samsara. What if we can find the descendants of sacred ancestor Samsara? Lin Feng continued asking. I will try to protect them. I hope that they will be able to survive until the next epoch. Lin Feng nodded and said, have a safe journey. You too, said the gate of reincarnation. Soon after, the gate of reincarnation disappeared. Let's go, Lin Feng said. Everyone nodded. They didn't stay. They left. After arriving at the ocean world outside, Lin Feng summoned the ancient starship Xianyuan. Everyone rested on the ancient starship. Lin Feng looked at the 4 experts and asked, what do you plan to do next? Qing Shan replied, we plan to enter seclusion for a while. Lin Feng asked, when do you plan to leave? We're leaving now. Qing Shan replied, let's keep in touch, said Lin Feng. Let's keep in touch. Qing Shan smiled. Of course. Once we leave seclusion, we'll go to Sin City to visit Lin Gongzi. Both sides had a simple conversation. Qing Shan and the other 3 experts left together. Lin Feng looked at the Sea Maiden and asked, where do you plan to go? Why don't you follow me back to Sin City? The Sea Maiden nodded. I can't follow you back for now because I still have some matters to take care of. Once I'm done, I might go to Sin City to look for you. All right. It won't be too late to leave after resting for a few days. Lin Feng said. Then I'll rest for 3 days before leaving, said the Sea Maiden. 3 days later, the Sea Maiden left. When she left, she didn't inform Lin Feng. If she left quietly, she would have fewer worries. The Cursed Doll left on the 5th day after the Sea Maiden left. This fellow's personality had always been like this. He couldn't stay in one place for too long, so he had to go to the capital of Sin. It was obvious that this was an extremely unrealistic thing. Moreover, the Cursed Doll had always been looking for opportunities to increase its cultivation. Therefore, it couldn't stay in one place for long. Only Lin Feng and the small son were left on the ancient starship Xianyuan. 3 months later, Lin Feng returned to Sin City. Inside Sin City, people came and went. It was bustling with noise and excitement. Although this was the country of the world of cultivators, the city of Sin had completely declined. Therefore, for a long time, it was like the capital city of the mortal world. There was the aura of the mortal world. For example, it was very difficult to find some small peddlers selling candied haws in other capital cities, but in Sin City, they could still be found. Moreover, Lin Feng discovered that selling candied haws seemed to be a good way to make a living, because the other party's candied haws. One skewer was sold for 1 immortal stone. How much was the cost of candied haws? But the other party was selling them at such a high price. This was because Sin City had this demand. After all, there were still many children in Sin City. For example, a child like the small son. Those children were always easily attracted to these things. Either, the cultivators of the undying realm didn't have the business sense of the cultivators of the mortal world. Selling candied haws could probably earn tens of thousands of immortal stones in a month. On a good day, they could even earn 30 to 40,000 immortal stones. To an ordinary cultivator, this was a considerable amount of wealth. The small son was eating a stick of candied haws and holding 3 sticks of candied haws. The little guy liked to eat this kind of sour and sweet things. His little face was full of happy smiles. After returning to the depths of the imperial city, many subordinates came to pay their respects to Lin Feng. Then, these subordinates reported some important matters to Lin Feng. These people were all very capable. Therefore, Sin City was developing better and better. After listening to the reports of these subordinates, Lin Feng was quite satisfied. As a superior, he didn't have to do everything himself. Wouldn't he be exhausted to death? He had to know how to use people well. Only in this way could a country, a huge force, develop better. After listening to these people's reports, Lin Feng asked about Pei Yingjuan's situation. After asking, he learned that Pei Yingjun had been in Sin City for a while and seemed to be researching something. The others didn't know what he was researching. Lin Feng planned to meet Pei Yingjun. Lin Feng had just arrived at the courtyard where Pei Yingjun lived. Bang! A huge explosion was heard and Pei Yingjun was sent flying. This guy fell to the ground and spat out a large mouthful of blood. His body twitched nonstop. After seeing this scene, Lin Feng hurried over. He helped Pei Yingjun up. "What the hell are you doing?" Lin Feng asked. When Pei Yingjun saw that Lin Feng had returned, he was immediately happy and said, "I'm researching a new treasure. Its power is even stronger than the 9 heavenly thunder source pearl." "Damn, what's so awesome?" Lin Feng couldn't help but ask in surprise. Pei Yingjun said, "This thing is called the 10 ultimate thunderstorm bead. It is fused with the 10 ultimate yin energy and the 9 heavenly thunder source pearl. It is also a bead, but the 10 ultimate thunderstorm bead is 10 times stronger than the 9 heavenly thunder source pearl." After hearing Pei Yingjuan's words, Lin Feng immediately became excited. He knew how terrifying the 9 heavenly thunder source pearl was. If Pei Yingjun could develop the 10 ultimate thunderstorm bead, it would definitely be an extremely heaven-defying killing weapon. End of chapter. Chapter 5294. How's the research on the 10 extreme thunderstorm pearls coming along? Lin Feng asked curiously. "I've encountered some tricky areas." Pei Yingjun sighed. Lin Feng asked, "So you're saying that it'll take some time to research the pearls?" Pei Yingjun nodded. "Yes." Then, he added, "You have to have confidence in me. Who knows, maybe I'll be able to research the pearls if I get some inspiration one day." Lin Feng said, "I hope so." Lin Feng then asked, "How many 9 heavenly lightning source pearls do you have?" "Right now, we have about 1,009 heavenly thunder source pearls." Pei Yingjun replied. Said Lin Feng, "All right, give me the 9 heavenly thunder source pearls. During this time, you can make as many as you can." "No problem," said Pei Yingjun, nodding. He took out the 9 thunder pearls and gave them to Lin Feng. Lin Feng said, "If you need anything, just let me know." "Hee, I won't stand on ceremony." Pei Yingjun grinned. He was living a carefree life now. In the past, due to the lack of various materials, Pei Yingjuan's alchemy career had been intermittent. He hadn't been able to successfully research the 9 heavenly lightning source pearls. After receiving Lin Feng's help, Pei Yingjun was able to enjoy the benefits. Pei Yingjun had tasted the benefits of various materials and immortal stones. Lin Feng had never mistreated him. Moreover, Lin Feng didn't restrict him from doing things he didn't want to do. Therefore, being in Lin Feng's place was like living in heaven. Pei Yingjun was overjoyed. After returning from Pei Yingjuan's place, Lin Feng observed the grand firmament purple lightning bamboo he had planted. Lin Feng discovered that the grand firmament purple lightning bamboo he had planted had matured. This made Lin Feng very happy. The maturing of the extreme heaven purple thunder bamboo meant that Lin Feng could refine the extreme heaven purple thunder bamboo into a weapon. Lin Feng had yet to decide what kind of magic weapon he would refine. However, the most important thing was that the grand firmament purple thunder bamboo itself was extraordinary. As a treasure of extreme yang, it was not the most important thing. Once the supreme firmament purple lightning bamboo was successfully refined, its attack power would be extremely terrifying. In addition to its terrifying attack power, what Lin Feng liked the most was that the grand firmament purple lightning bamboo was a treasure of extreme yang. It was the nemesis of those evil ghosts. Nowadays, the world is so chaotic. All kinds of powerful evil ghosts appeared one after another. It was extremely important to have a treasure that could greatly restrain evil ghosts. Lin Feng took out the grand firmament purple lightning bamboo. The grand firmament purple lightning bamboo was surrounded by the power of purple lightning. In addition to the power of lightning, there was also a hot aura that entered Lin Feng's body. This hot aura was actually the power of extreme yang. Why don't I imitate the 36 stone swords and forge the grand firmament purple lightning bamboo into a set of combined magic weapons? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. The 36 stone swords were extremely powerful. If he could forge the grand firmament purple lightning bamboo into 36 bamboo swords, it would be a good choice. Lin Feng observed for a moment. The materials should be enough. Thinking of this, Lin Feng planned to act immediately. He split the grand firmament purple lightning bamboo apart. Then, according to a certain ratio, he cut off 36 pieces of bamboo. Then, Lin Feng began to carve these bamboo into the shape of bamboo swords. Carving them into the shape of bamboo swords was only the first step. After carving, he still had to set up a large array. In fact, the power of a magic weapon was greatly related to 3 factors. First, it was related to the material of the magic weapon itself. Second, it was related to the array on the magic weapon. Third, it was related to the level of the magic weapon itself. The first and second could be controlled by humans. The third point was not easy to control, because when the magic weapon could advance, this was something that cultivators could not control. However, Lin Feng was able to control the first and second points. Lin Feng carved all 36 pieces of bamboo into the shape of bamboo swords. Then, Lin Feng began to set up the array. Lin Feng carved densely packed runes on the bamboo swords. After those runes were linked together, they formed a powerful array. Then, Lin Feng injected spirit energy into those arrays. Then, he began to temper. Tempering was an extremely crucial step. If the tempering was perfect, then the magic weapon's power would be extremely powerful. After the finished product, its level would also be relatively high. Its potential was also relatively high. If the tempering was not good, it was very likely that it would become a defective product. This loss would be great. And tempering magic weapon was related to many factors. For example, was it diligent? For example, the temperature of the flame used to temper the magic weapon and so on. Although the grand firmament purple lightning bamboo was a bamboo, it was a treasure of extreme yang. Therefore, the grand firmament purple lightning bamboo was not afraid of the tempering of flames. Lin Feng controlled the 7 heavenly fires. Using the 7 heavenly fires to temper the grand firmament purple lightning bamboo would definitely be able to fully unlock the potential of the grand firmament purple lightning bamboo. When tempering the first bamboo sword, Lin Feng was very careful. After all, he still had no experience at this time. He had to be careful. If he wasn't careful, the bamboo sword was very likely to be destroyed. After cutting off 36 bamboo swords from the grand firmament purple lightning bamboo, there were only some incomplete parts left. It was impossible to find the part to carve the bamboo sword. So, he couldn't make a mistake. Once there was a mistake, Lin Feng's wish to refine a set of combination magic weapon would also fall through. After spending a month of Lin Feng's time, he finally succeeded in tempering the first bamboo sword. Lin Feng observed for a moment, and his face immediately revealed an extremely satisfied expression. The power of this bamboo sword was very powerful, and the tempering was also relatively perfect. It seemed that his 1 month of effort was not in vain. In the following period of time, Lin Feng began to be even busier. The remaining bamboo swords, he set up an array and tempered them one by one. As his experience increased, the time spent became less and less. But even so, Lin Feng still spent 2.5 years to successfully refine the 36 bamboo swords. Of course, because Lin Feng was in seclusion in time and space. So only 3 months had passed in the outside world. Lin Feng intended to test the power of the 36 bamboo swords. He came to a mountain range in time and space. The 36 bamboo swords floated around Lin Feng's body. The 36 bamboo swords vibrated with powerful energy fluctuations. Under Lin Feng's control, the 36 bamboo swords slashed towards the mountain range in front of him. The 36 bamboo swords easily cut the mountain range. It was like cutting a piece of tofu. Of course, this was not what surprised Lin Feng the most. What surprised Lin Feng the most was that the mountain range that was cut by the 36 bamboo swords actually burned fiercely, and in the blink of an eye, it was burned to ashes. This chapter ends. Chapter 5295. What terrifying power! Could it be that the 36 bamboo swords have an additional burning effect? Lin Feng's face revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. The 36 bamboo swords were extremely tough and young treasures. Therefore, it was possible that they had an additional burning effect. If they had an additional burning effect, then that would be awesome. Because of the burning effect, the power of the 36 bamboo swords would be greatly increased. At the same time, the burning effect could continuously cause damage to the target. For example, the mountain range had been burned to ashes. This was the terrifying effect of the burning effect. In order to test if the 36 bamboo swords had an additional burning effect, Lin Feng continued to control the 36 bamboo swords to attack the other targets. The 36 bamboo swords cut open another mountain range. After that mountain range was cut open, it began to burn fiercely. Very quickly, that mountain range was also burned to ashes. It really does have an additional burning effect. Lin Feng's eyes revealed a look of joy. 36 bamboo swords. Lin Feng loved it so much he couldn't put it down. They were definitely the nemesis of evil ghosts. I still have 3 treasure spirits here. The Primal Chaos Ancient Lamp, the Primal Chaos Stone, and the remaining one. Give me 36 bamboo swords. Unfortunately, I don't have enough treasure spirits. If I had enough treasure spirits, I could fuse a treasure spirit into each bamboo sword. That would be awesome. Lin Feng couldn't help but ponder. If a treasure spirit was fused into a treasure, it could allow the treasure to quickly give birth to a god with great potential. When a god was born, the treasure's power would increase explosively. Lin Feng took out a treasure spirit. He now needed to find a main sword among the 36 bamboo swords. The main reason he was looking for a main sword was because he didn't have enough treasure spirits. The bamboo sword that had fused with the treasure spirit. It was the main sword of the 36 bamboo swords. The other 35 bamboo swords were all centered around the main sword. Of course, although Lin Feng didn't have enough treasure spirits, once the main sword gave birth to a god, under the influence of the main sword, the other bamboo swords would also quickly give birth to a god. Then, the god would evolve at an extremely fast speed. As time passed, the spirituality inside the bamboo sword would transform into a god. In fact, that extremely fast here was also a relative concept of time. This was because, under normal circumstances, the gestation of a god was relatively long. It could take hundreds of thousands of years, millions of years, or even millions of years. These bamboo swords, on the other hand, might give birth to a god in a few hundred years. Such a comparison. The speed was indeed extremely fast. If Lin Feng could find a new magic treasure spirit during this period of time before the birth of the god, he would be able to find one. When the time comes, these bamboo swords could possess complete deities in advance. This was also something that was extremely possible. Lin Feng chose one of the 36 bamboo swords as his main sword. After making his choice, Lin Feng began to attempt to inject the magic treasure spirit into the bamboo sword. The bamboo sword and the magic treasure spirit were like a human's body and soul. Before the gods were born, a bamboo sword was equivalent to a body without a soul. After the magic treasure spirit entered the bamboo sword, it was equivalent to the birth of a soul. It was not difficult to integrate the magic treasure spirit into the magic treasure. Lin Feng spent a day to successfully integrate the magic treasure spirit into the bamboo sword. The power of the bamboo sword had greatly increased, as the magic treasure spirit had yet to truly evolve into a god. Therefore, the power of the bamboo sword had yet to reach its peak level. When the magic treasure spirit had completely evolved into a god, the power of the bamboo sword would reach its peak level. Lin Feng put away the 36 stone swords. Then, he summoned the primal chaos ancient lamp. Then, Lin Feng took out the second magic treasure spirit. The second magic treasure spirit was integrated into the primal chaos ancient lamp. When it was integrated into the primal chaos ancient lamp, something happened. Because the primal chaos ancient lamp had already given birth to its own spirituality. Therefore, when the magic treasure spirit was integrated into the primal chaos ancient lamp, it was rejected by the spirituality inside the primal chaos ancient lamp. This was not a good sign. When two different spirituality fought with each other, it was very likely to destroy this magic treasure. But soon, Lin Feng was relieved. The magic treasure spirit was extraordinary and had an extremely strong tolerance. Therefore, although the magic treasure spirit was rejected by the spirituality inside the primal chaos ancient lamp, however, the powerful tolerance of the magic treasure spirit quickly resolved the rejection of the spirituality inside the primal chaos ancient lamp. Then, the magic treasure spirit and the spirituality that had already been born inside the primal chaos ancient lamp merged into one. Then, it began to transform. No one could say for sure how many years this transformation would take. It had something to do with many factors. However, the only thing that was certain was that the magic treasure that had integrated with the magic treasure spirit would transform into a god at a faster speed. If it was long, it would take at most 100 years. If it was short, it could be completed in a few years. The ratio of Lin Feng's time and space to the outside world was 10-1. Therefore, even if the transformation was slower, after 10 years in the outside world, Lin Feng's magic treasure had basically completed its transformation. If the transformation was faster, in a few months in the outside world, the transformation might be completed. Lin Feng then took out the primal chaos stone and the third magic treasure spirit. With his previous experience, the speed of fusing with the third magic treasure spirit was much faster. After fusing with the third magic treasure spirit, Lin Feng's face revealed an expression of relief. Now, he had finally successfully fused the magic treasure spirit into his natal magic treasure. All he needed to do now was wait. He hoped that his natal magic treasure would be able to give birth to a god soon. Lin Feng then went to take a look at Lung Zishi. Lin Feng originally thought that Lung Zishi would wake up quickly, but the situation was different from what Lin Feng had imagined. Lung Zishi still had not woken up. However, Lung Zishi's body had almost recovered. Lin Feng felt that Lung Zishi might only need an opportunity to recover. Lin Feng pinched Lung Zishi's face and said, "You really can sleep. How long have you been sleeping? You're still sleeping. Wake up quickly." Lung Zishi did not move. He looked at Lung Zishi's beautiful face and her soft red lips. Lin Feng lowered his head and kissed it. Then, he said, "Not bad, not bad. It's the taste of a beauty." This guy was really a shameless person. He actually took advantage of Lung Zishi while she was unconscious to take advantage of her. Lin Feng then left the time and space. But Lin Feng did not see it. Lung Zishi's eyelashes slightly fluttered. P.S. 6th update. Please subscribe. Please recommend it. Please get monthly votes. I hope that everyone can subscribe to the archaic dragonesque elephant spell, because it was a full-time writing job. So the pressure of life was greater. There was another child in the family. The pressure of life was even greater. It costs more than 10 yuan a month to read the original version. The cost of a pack of cigarettes. I think it's not much for everyone. Therefore, I hope that everyone can subscribe to the original version. Old Mantu thanks everyone. End of this chapter. Chapter 5296. After Lin Feng came out of seclusion, he planned to rest for a while, then go to the desolate sky ridge to look for the stone scripture. As the holy scripture passed down by the divine masters, it recorded many of the top inheritances of the divine masters. Now it was time to find the stone scripture. Lin Feng had heard the king of 10,000 spiders mention the whereabouts of the stone scripture before. The stone scripture was in a cave in the depths of the 7th mountain in the desolate sky ridge. The desolate sky ridge was a forbidden zone for life, even more terrifying than a death zone. But so what? Even if it was a dragon's pool or a tiger's den, Lin Feng still had to go. Lin Feng took out his stone armor and gave it to the weapon refining pavilion, asking the weapon refiners inside to help repair it. Of course, Lin Feng knew that to completely repair the stone armor, he would need some special materials, but those materials were very hard to find. So, Lin Feng didn't expect the stone armor to be completely repaired. As long as it could be restored to 70 to 80%, Lin Feng would be very satisfied. Now the number of weapon refiners in the Sin City's weapon refining pavilion had expanded to more than 200 people. Over the years, many weapon refiners had come to the Sin City to seek refuge. Among them, there was no lack of top-notch weapon refiners. These people were extremely important to the Sin City. They could constantly create all kinds of armor, magic weapons, and other treasures. Then these treasures could be used to arm the cultivator army of the Sin City. This could greatly increase the strength of the cultivator army of the Sin City. Repairing the stone armor also needed some time. When Lin Feng entered the desolate sky ridge, the stone armor was very important. Wearing the stone armor could help him avoid many dangers. Therefore, the repair of the stone armor was an urgent matter. When Lin Feng first came back, Du Zhu and the others were still in seclusion. After Lin Feng came out of seclusion, Du Zhu and the others had already come out ahead of time. After hearing that Lin Feng came out, Du Zhu, the evil dominator divine ancestor, and the two ghost immortals came one after another. After seeing the two ghost immortals, Lin Feng's heart couldn't help but tremble slightly. Lin Feng had an idea. He thought, could he send the two ghost immortals into the reincarnation passage? Lin Feng thought. The reincarnation passage was a place full of secrets. Furthermore, there was an extremely terrifying existence entrenched there. However, everything in the reincarnation passage was unknown to Lin Feng. Many places were full of mysteries. Lin Feng couldn't stay in the reincarnation passage forever. This was because Lin Feng was a living being from the Yang realm. If he stayed there for too long, he would inevitably encounter great trouble. However, the two ghost immortals were different. If they were sent to the reincarnation passage, the two of them could easily hide in the reincarnation passage. Then, he would slowly strengthen himself while secretly investigating the situation of the reincarnation passage. Other than that, there was another extremely important matter. And that was, now that Feng Yaoguang was still in the reincarnation passage, Lin Feng didn't know when Feng Yaoguang would come out of the reincarnation passage. Now that Lin Feng had left the reincarnation passage, he had no way of knowing what had happened inside. However, if he were to send the two ghost immortals there, once Feng Yaoguang came out, Lin Feng would be able to immediately receive the news of Feng Yaoguang's birth. To Lin Feng, this was naturally an extremely important matter. Therefore, after thinking for a while, Lin Feng made a decision. He sent the two ghost immortals into the reincarnation passage. I heard that you've done a lot of earth-shattering things outside, Du Zhu said with a smile. Lin Feng said, this kind of statement is a bit exaggerated. You can't believe it? Du Zhu grinned and said, don't be in a hurry to deny it. I think this kind of statement can be believed. Lin Feng laughed and then said, don't just talk about me. The results of your seclusion during this period of time aren't bad, right? Not bad. The two ghost immortals have both broken through to the peak of the Earth Immortal Realm, while the big zombie has broken through to the peak of the Sky Immortal Realm, Du Zhu said. Next, Du Zhu said proudly, as for me, I've already broken through to the quasi-immortal realm. Look at how cocky you are. The demonic sovereign curled his lips and said. Du Zhu said, how am I cocky? I was just speaking the truth. Anyone could see the smug look on Du Zhu's face. Lin Feng said, congratulations on your breakthrough. This is something worth celebrating. Let's drink and celebrate. That's good. Du Zhu grinned. Thus, the five of them headed to the Immortal Food Hall. The people there knew that the Lord of Sin and Virtue, Lin Feng, had come to eat. Naturally, they were extremely excited. The chefs prepared all of their best dishes. Lin Feng's group of five drank and chatted. After 3 rounds of wine and 5 dishes, Lin Feng looked at the two ghost immortals and said, the two of you have been with me for a long time, right? The first ghost immortal said, reporting to young master, It's been more than 100 years since we were born from the ghost-raising jar. 100 years is indeed not a short time. I have an important task for the two of you, and I hope that the two of you can help me with it. Lin Feng said. The two ghost immortals hurriedly stood up and cupped their fists. Please instruct us, young master. Lin Feng waved his hand and said, Sit down. We're on the same side, so there's no need to be so polite. The two ghost immortals sat down. Lin Feng said, I don't know if the two of you have heard of the reincarnation passage. The first ghost immortal said, We have indeed heard of the reincarnation passage. It's said that it's a paradise for the undead, and it's a passage into the 6 paths of reincarnation. Lin Feng said, I don't know if it's possible to enter the 6 paths of reincarnation, but that place is indeed a paradise for the undead. Not long ago, I entered the reincarnation passage. Du Zhu and the evil dominator's divine ancestor had been in seclusion all this time. Thus, they didn't know that Feng Yaoguang had entered the reincarnation passage. Thus, they didn't know that Lin Feng had been searching for the reincarnation passage all this time. Now that Lin Feng mentioned the reincarnation passage, Du Zhu asked curiously, Why are you going there? Lin Feng told them about Feng Yaoguang and the reincarnation passage to Du Zhu and the evil dominator's divine ancestor. Lin Feng said, I've already told you the basics of the reincarnation passage. I can't stay in the reincarnation passage forever, and there are many secrets that I'm very curious about. In addition, Feng Yaoguang is very important to me, so I want to know about her as soon as possible. That's why I sent the two ghost immortals into the reincarnation passage to investigate those secrets. In addition, entering the reincarnation passage is also beneficial to the two ghost immortals. After all, the world of the living isn't very suitable for them to cultivate. Entering the reincarnation passage will be of great help to the two ghost immortals. The first and second ghost immortals said, We definitely won't let you down. We'll definitely complete your mission. Chapter 5297. Lin Feng said, Don't feel pressured. Expanding your territory in the reincarnation passage isn't easy. You can do it step by step. However, you have to keep a close eye on Feng Yaoguang. Don't make any mistakes. Yes, we'll remember your teachings. The two ghost immortals said in unison. Du Zhu said, You said that you relied on the gate of reincarnation to enter the reincarnation passage, but we don't know where the gate of reincarnation is now. How are the two ghost immortals going to enter the reincarnation passage? Lin Feng said, I can try to contact the 10 Fiend Demon Kings. I'll pass on my request to them. The 10 Fiend Demon Kings are in charge of the entrance to the reincarnation passage, so it won't be difficult for the two ghost immortals to enter. Du Zhu said, It's true that it's easier to get things done when you have friends. The heretic divine ancestor said, How uncultured. It's easier to get things done when you have more friends. Fuck, who are you calling uncultured? Du Zhu glared angrily at the heretic divine ancestor. The heretic divine ancestor said, Everyone knows who I'm talking about. Are you looking for a beating? Du Zhu slammed the table. The heretic divine ancestor said, You better restrain yourself. The young master is still sitting here, and you dare to slam the table? Did you eat a bear's heart or a leopard's gall? The young master isn't as petty and vengeful as you. Get the hell out here right now, and I'll beat you until your teeth fall out. Du Zhu said fiercely, You think I'm afraid of you? The heretic divine ancestor pursed his lips. If these two guys didn't bicker with each other every day, then they wouldn't be a pair of enemies. Lin Feng didn't try to persuade them. If they wanted to fight, then so be it. As long as they didn't kill each other, it was fine. Let's just treat it as a free show. The two ghost immortals didn't try to persuade the two of them. They had seen this scene countless times. Persuasion. Would it work? Of course it wouldn't. And so, the group of people who had been eating went to the plaza outside the Immortal Food Hall. There were many people coming and going to eat in the Immortal Food Hall. Seeing that there was a conflict here, they naturally gathered around to watch the show. Everyone saw Lin Feng. They all bowed to Lin Feng. Lin Feng nodded. Because Lin Feng was here, the surrounding cultivators didn't know what to do. Therefore, they did not dare to make too much noise. However, Du Zhu and the evil dominator were naturally quite familiar with each other. Because Du Zhu and the evil dominator were the cultivators who had followed Lin Feng the longest. His status was also different. The Golden Immortals were rather courteous to Du Zhu and Heretic Sovereign. "I'll kill you." Du Zhu roared and charged at the evil dominator Divine Ancestor. "I'll *CK you to death." The evil dominator Divine Ancestor sneered and also attacked Du Zhu. Lin Feng thought. In the past, the evil dominator Divine Ancestor was a man of few words, but he had been with Du Zhu for too long. Therefore, his personality had changed. There was a saying that one is marked by the company one keeps. It seemed that this saying was very reasonable. The battle finally ended with Du Zhu being taught a lesson by the evil dominator Divine Ancestor. Although Du Zhu's cultivation was higher than the evil dominator Divine Ancestor, but Du Zhu's most powerful method was to use all kinds of poison, or to use some powerful poison techniques. The evil dominator Divine Ancestor was a zombie. His body contained an extremely terrifying poison to begin with. Du Zhu's methods had no effect on the evil dominator Divine Ancestor. So, it was normal for Du Zhu to not be a match for the evil dominator Divine Ancestor. Before the battle, Du Zhu had been provoking and showing off. But after the battle, he was beaten up by the evil dominator Divine Ancestor. It became a joke for many people. In the afternoon, Lin Feng began to set up the altar. He was unable to directly contact the 10 evil demon kings. He needed to use the altar. Only then would he be able to contact the 10 evil demon kings. In order to communicate with the 10 evil demon kings, Lin Feng even carved a statue of the 10 evil demon kings and placed it on the altar. After burning incense and praying, whispered Lin Feng, one of the 10 evil demon kings. 10 evil demon kings. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? The statue of the 10 evil demon kings suddenly opened its eyes. Why did you call me? The 10 evil demon kings asked. Seeing the 10 evil demon kings appear, Lin Feng was somewhat happy. He said, I missed you. So I set up the altar and wanted to talk to you. The 10 evil demon kings couldn't help but roll his eyes. He didn't believe a single word of Lin Feng's words. Hurry up and tell me what you want. The 10 evil demon kings said. Lin Feng stopped joking and said, It's like this. I want to send 2 of my subordinates into the reincarnation passage. Do you think it's possible? The 10 evil demon kings naturally saw the 2 ghost immortals standing not far away. He said, Are they the 2 ghost immortals? Yes. Lin Feng nodded. Kid, you're doing pretty well in the outside world. You've even subdued 2 ghost immortals. The 10 evil demon kings said. However, when he thought about how Lin Feng was so young, his battle strength was very terrifying. Lin Feng had an extraordinary force in the outside world. It didn't seem like a big deal. Lin Feng smiled and said, I'm doing pretty well. If you come to the world of the living, I'll make sure to arrange everything for you. I guarantee that you'll enjoy yourself so much that you won't even think about home. The 10 evil demon kings said, Forget it. I won't go to the world of the living. At the very least, I won't go there for a while. I can take these 2 ghost immortals into the reincarnation passage. I won't ask you why you want them to go there, but the passage has become a little chaotic recently. Once they enter, they'll need to be quiet for a while. Don't go to places they shouldn't go. If they go there, I won't be able to save them. Lin Feng's heart trembled. He asked, Is the chaos in the passage related to that senior? The senior Lin Feng was referring to was Luo Shenqiu. He had pulled the sarcophagus into the depths of the reincarnation passage. Nobody knew what he was doing. The 10 evil demon kings nodded and said, That's right. It's related to him. Remember that guy who tried to kill us last time? After he left, he wasn't willing to give up. So he joined forces with a group of terrifying existences in the depths of the passage to kill that person. Just to kill him? Lin Feng couldn't help but frown. The 10 evil demon kings sneered and said, Of course not. I think they want to open the sarcophagus and see who's buried inside. Chapter 5298. Lin Feng knew how extraordinary the sarcophagus was. Those fellows in the reincarnation passage actually wanted to open it. They were truly audacious. Perhaps they should have a deeper understanding of the sarcophagus, which was why they were so eager to open it. Lin Feng asked, "What's the situation over there now?" "That person's power is connected to the sarcophagus. It's absolutely terrifying. How can those fellows who overestimate themselves deal with that person?" Tin Evil Demon King couldn't help but reveal a gloating expression. Back then, when he entered the depths of the reincarnation passage, he had almost suffered a calamity. It had a lot to do with those terrifying creatures. Therefore, Tin Evil Demon King naturally didn't have a good impression of those fellows. Seeing those fellows suffer, Tin Evil Demon King felt very happy. "They suffered a calamity?" Lin Feng asked. "I'm not too sure about the details, but it seems like someone suffered a calamity. However, they didn't give up. They seem to have entered a deeper location, wanting to awaken the ruler in the depths to deal with that person." Tin Evil Demon King said. "What kind of existence is the ruler in the depths?" Lin Feng asked curiously. "I'm not too sure either. There's no end to the reincarnation passage. Who knows what kind of existences are inside?" Tin Evil Demon King said. Lin Feng asked, "Why do you think Senior Luo Shinchio pulled the sarcophagus into the depths of the reincarnation passage? Maybe it's a chance at reincarnation? Or maybe it's because of something. It's hard to say, but no matter what the reason is, it's bound to set off a storm. Recently, I've been observing the situation in the depths to see if there's anything I can pick up." Tin Evil Demon King revealed a devilish smile. At this moment, the depths were in chaos. It was indeed a great opportunity to pick up a bargain. Of course, even if it was a great opportunity to pick up a bargain, however, it didn't mean that there was no danger inside. In fact, it was still very dangerous inside. The slightest carelessness could lead to a miserable death. "Then you have to be careful," Lin Feng said. "Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. All right, I won't talk too much with you. I'll bring your two subordinates into the reincarnation passage." Tin Evil Demon King said. He extended his hand and pointed at the two ghost immortals. Shwa. With a flash of light, the two ghost immortals disappeared. The statues that the Tin Evil Demon Kings possessed also turned into ordinary statues. The 10 great evil demon kings. He left. Lin Feng ordered the altar to be put away. At this moment, someone came to report that a cultivator called Qin Mubai had come to seek an audience. Lin Feng ordered someone to bring Qin Mubai to the living room. After arriving at the living room, Lin Feng saw Qin Mubai. He smiled and said, "Brother Qin, how is life in the city of Sin?" Qin Mubai replied, "Everything's fine, and Vice City Lord Gua arranged a position for me. I went out to run some errands, and when I heard that Brother Lin had returned, I hurried over to greet him." Lin Feng asked, "What's your current position?" Qin Mubai replied, "I'm the liaison officer between Sin City and the various ancient cities." Lin Feng nodded and said, "This position is quite busy, but I can order someone to change it for you." Lin Feng naturally took care of Qin Mubai. After all, he was an old friend from the Tianwu continent. How many old friends did he have in the Tianwu continent? There weren't many left. So, if Lin Feng didn't take care of Qin Mubai, who would he take care of? Qin Mubai said, "Please don't be like this. I have a good relationship with my colleagues now, and I'm very happy with my work. Although it's a bit busy, it's very fulfilling." After pausing for a moment, Qin Mubai continued, "Moreover, we're already very happy that Brother Lin took us in. Now that we have a proper job, we really don't dare to trouble Brother Lin. We're friends," Lin Feng said. Qin Mubai said, "With Brother Lin's current position, it's me, Qin Mubai, who's trying to make friends with you." "Don't say that. There's no such thing as making friends," Lin Feng said. Qin Mubai was a little touched. He nodded and said, "I understand." Lin Feng then said, "From what you said just now, you're already married?" Qin Mubai nodded and said, "Yes, we got married after we came to Sinful City." Lin Feng was a little emotional. Qin Mubai was such a good young master. He was the image of a prince charming in the hearts of many women. He actually married such an ordinary woman. It seemed that it really proved that sentence. As long as the relationship was deep, looks were really secondary. "Congratulations," Lin Feng said. Qin Mubai said, "Thank you, Brother Lin, for your blessings." After pausing for a moment, Qin Mubai continued, "She's already 3 months pregnant. After the child is born, Can Brother Lin give the child a name? If possible, it will definitely be the blessing of the child's life. Hearing that Qin Mubai was going to be a father, Lin Feng couldn't help but be extremely happy. He said, "Of course, I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. I heard that some doctors can tell." Qin Mubai said, "There's no need to find those doctors to tell the gender. I like both boys and girls." Haha, that's right, that's right. As long as the child is healthy, it doesn't matter if it's a boy or a girl. After the child is born, you must inform me immediately. Lin Feng said. "I will." Qin Mubai hurriedly nodded. Then, Qin Mubai stood up and took his leave. After Qin Mubai left, Lin Feng couldn't help but sigh. Even Qin Mubai had a child. He wondered how many of his old friends from back then had already started their own families, married, and had children. Lin Feng thought of his close female friends in the 9 provinces. Were they doing well in the 9 provinces? Right now, Lin Feng still had no way to bring them to the undying world. This was because the current situation in the undying world was not particularly clear. Who knew what would happen in the undying world soon? Moreover, sooner or later, there would be a war between the Sin realm and the heavenly court. So, he wanted to bring his close female friends over. At the very least, he needed to wait until everything calmed down. In the evening, Shueyu Xian came to Lin Feng's place. It had been a while since he saw Shueyu Xian. This woman was still as delicate and charming as before. Shueyu Xian came over with good wine. She said softly, "Such a beautiful scenery. Being alone. Wouldn't it be empty and lonely? How about I accompany Gongzi through this long night today?" After hearing Shueyu Xian's words, Lin Feng couldn't help muttering to himself. Shueyu Xian. When did she become so bold and passionate? The current Shueyu Xian. Was she still the Shueyu Xian he knew before? Chapter 5299. Lin Feng looked at Shueyu Xian and said, "Having a peerless beauty like Yue Xin by my side is naturally something to be happy about. Why don't we have a drink tonight?" "Could it be that you only want to have a drink with the moon?" Shueyu Xian giggled. Her charming eyes were like silk. It was obvious that she was flirting with him. Lin Feng said, "Yes, I only want to have a drink with the moon. Apart from that, I have no other thoughts." Shueyu Xian said, "Then I'll accompany you to have a drink with the moon." Shueyu Xian took out a cup of wine and a few steaming dishes. She placed them on a stone table in the courtyard. Lin Feng said, "You're really well prepared." Shueyu Xian said, "Of course. I can't let you drink on an empty stomach, can I?" "These dishes are all delicious. Are they ordered by the Immortal Food Palace?" Lin Feng asked. "Of course not. These are some dishes that I personally prepared for you. Have a taste," Shueyu Xian said. She picked up a pair of chopsticks, picked up a dish, and brought it to Lin Feng's mouth. Having a peerless beauty personally feed someone was truly an emperor's pleasure. Lin Feng tasted a mouthful and said, "Not bad, not bad. You're pretty, and your culinary skills are decent. A woman like you is really rare." "Thank you for your praise, young master." Shueyu Xian's pretty face blushed. She then poured a cup of wine for Lin Feng. Lin Feng downed it in one gulp. "Have you gotten used to life in the city of Sin?" Lin Feng asked. "It's fine. It's just that you're often not in Sin City. When I miss you, I can't see you. So I can't help but feel a little disappointed," Shueyu Xian said. If someone else had heard a peerless beauty like Shueyu Xian say something like that, they would have been overjoyed. However, Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. Back then, he and Shueyu Xian had already become strangers, even though Shueyu Xian had found him in the city of Sin. However, Lin Feng had no intention of continuing his relationship with Shueyu Xian. If it wasn't for Shueyu Xian's tear-stained face, Lin Feng didn't intend to let Shueyu Xian stay. Lin Feng was a soft-hearted man. He couldn't bear to see a woman cry. Lin Feng said, "You can make friends with some people in Sin City. It's not good if you don't make friends when you're living in a new place. Now, there's an office of the All-Knowing Pavilion in Sin City. If you want to return to work there, I can give them a call. That way, you'll be able to work there again." Shueyu Xian said, "I don't have any plans to return to the Baishao Pavilion for now. I just want to stay by your side and serve you well." Shui Yuexin was getting bolder and bolder. After saying that, Zhang Wujishi went directly to Lin Feng's side and sat on Lin Feng's lap. She even wrapped her arms around Lin Feng's neck. Every second of the night is worth 1,000 gold. Let's not waste this beautiful scenery, okay? Shui Yuexin's seductive voice sounded. Her breath smelled like orchids. Her fragrance filled the air. It was simply intoxicating. Take your hands off me. However, at that moment, a voice sounded from Lin Feng's body. When he heard the voice, Lin Feng looked happy at first, but then he had a strange expression on his face. Who was that voice? Lin Feng obviously knew what was going on. What was she trying to do? What's that voice? Shui Yuexin jumped in fright. She was bewildered. Hurry up and get up. Is this where you should sit? That voice sounded again. Shui Yuexin didn't get up. She said, I'll sit if I want to. What can you do about it? The voice said, B*TCH, do you know who I am? I'm a legendary evil spirit. Anyone who's targeted by me won't have a good ending, especially those women. After being targeted by me, the life energy in their bodies will gradually be absorbed by me. Then, those women will start to age quickly. Not long after, they'll become uglier than ghosts. At that time, not to mention men liking these women, men won't even look at them. I'll give you a chance now. Continue to sit, or hurry up and get up. The words spoken by this voice were too lethal to women. Which woman didn't like to be beautiful? Especially beautiful women. What they were most afraid of was hearing about their bodies being out of shape, becoming old and ugly, and their skin becoming unsightly. Therefore, when Shui Yuexin heard the threat of becoming old and ugly, she was terrified. She didn't dare to continue sitting on Lin Feng's lap. She quickly stood up. Young master, what's that talking? Is it really a female ghost? Shui Yuexin looked at Lin Feng and asked. She was skeptical about it. Lin Feng said, it's really a female ghost, and one with a bad temper. Shui Yuexin said, why don't I find someone to subdue this female ghost? Lin Feng said, there's no need to go through so much trouble. This female ghost has a good relationship with me. How about this? You go back first. I'll have a good talk with this female ghost and tell her not to come out and scare people casually in the future. All right then, I'll go back first. Shui Yuexin said. All right. Lin Feng nodded. Shui Yuexin left Lin Feng's residence. The trace of fear on her face immediately disappeared. Her eyes became cold. In her eyes, there was even a burst of coldness. Bitch, you ruined my plans. Don't fall into my hands. Otherwise, I'll make you suffer a fate worse than death. After Shui Yuexin left, a light flashed. Lung Zishi flew out. She said sarcastically, you're really in the mood, doing something bad with a vixen here, and I even bumped into you. How embarrassing. Lin Feng said, look at what you're saying. What do you mean by doing something bad? Lung Zishi said, it's just not doing something good. If I didn't stop you in time, wouldn't you have carried her to her room? Lin Feng laughed bitterly. Lung Zishi's personality was as fiery as ever. Her words were as fiery as ever. She had nothing to be embarrassed about. Lin Feng said, you're thinking too much. I'm a gentleman. Gentleman my ass. Lung Zishi said hatefully. She thought about how Lin Feng had secretly kissed her before she woke up. Lung Zishi felt like gnashing her teeth. Actually, Lung Zishi had already woken up at that time, but she had been unconscious for too long. Although she had woken up, her bodily functions had not recovered, and she could not move or speak. She had to wait for a few days before she could gradually regain her mobility. Of course, although she was gnashing her teeth in hatred, however, she had been kissed by Lin Feng. Lung Zishi did not plan to talk about it openly. If she said it out loud, who knew what would happen? Lung Zishi sat on the stone bench and decided to turn her grief into appetite. She picked up her chopsticks and started eating. She ate and drank at the same time. She could be described as wolfing down the food. Can you eat slower? No one is fighting with you. Lin Feng said helplessly, I'm hungry. Do you know how long it's been since I last ate? This is not enough for me. Go get someone to make some more for me. Lung Zishi spoke vaguely as she ate. She did not look like a lady at all. However, this was the real Lung Zishi. In fact, Lin Feng quite liked Lung Zishi's personality. Lin Feng ordered someone to go to the Immortal Food Hall to order a table of delicacies for Lung Zishi. Soon, the people from the Immortal Food Hall delivered the delicacies. Lung Zishi, on the other hand, swept everything away. After eating, she patted her stomach and said, "I'm so full." "How can you not be full after eating so much?" Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter. Lung Zishi stood up and ignored Lin Feng. She said, "You can pack up these things. I'm going to take a nap." After saying that, she twisted her waist and swayed her, but as she walked towards her room, Yixian couldn't help but mutter to himself. Lung Zishi's figure was really top-notch. Her face was also beautiful. She was definitely a top-notch beauty. Chapter 5300. It was more difficult to repair the stone armor. Dozens of the top blacksmiths in the blacksmith pavilion participated in the repair of the stone armor. The group of top blacksmiths brainstormed and finally found a way to repair the stone armor. In the end, these top blacksmiths successfully repaired Lin Feng's stone armor. Of course, this kind of repair was not 100% perfect. It was about 80% repaired, which was similar to Lin Feng's guess. Lin Feng was already very happy to be able to repair it to 80%. After all, it was too difficult to repair the stone armor completely after it was damaged. After these people repaired the stone armor, Lin Feng took out the broken sun-shooting divine arrow. Then, he handed it to the blacksmith pavilion. In addition to the broken arrow, Lin Feng also gave some top-quality meteorites and the complete array diagram to the blacksmith pavilion. The reason why he didn't take out the broken arrow and stone armor was because he was worried that these people would be distracted. It was fine if the materials were damaged, but he was afraid that they would damage his magic treasure. Lin Feng asked, and the blacksmith pavilion said that it would take about 10 days to repair the broken arrow. This time was much shorter than Lin Feng expected. Lin Feng left the blacksmith pavilion and went to Pei Yingjuan's place. Ever since Lin Feng came back, Pei Yingjun had been working overtime to refine the 9 Heavenly Thunder Source Pearls. Now, Pei Yingjun had refined about 1,309 Heavenly Thunder Source Pearls, including the 1,009 Heavenly Thunder Source Pearls that he gave to Lin Feng. All the 9 Heavenly Lightning Source Pearls added up to a total of 2,300 pearls. Lin Feng would not leave for the time being, so Pei Yingjun should be able to refine another batch of 9 Heavenly Thunder Source Pearls in the next period of time. If he could bring a few thousand 9 Heavenly Thunder Source Pearls with him, it was also a great guarantee for his own safety. After Lung Zishi woke up, she immediately became lively. When she saw Little Sun, Lung Zishi seemed to like Little Sun very much. She always liked to reach out and pinch Little Sun's face. Little Sun felt wronged. In his young heart, he must have thought that this big sister in front of him was an indecent person. Lung Zishi knew that Lin Feng was planning to go to the barren Sky Ridge. Lung Zishi was someone who could not stay idle. Therefore, when he heard that Lin Feng was going to the barren Sky Ridge, he immediately became interested. She wanted to go to the barren Sky Ridge with Lin Feng. Lin Feng naturally didn't want to bring Lung Zishi along, mainly because the desolate Sky Ridge was too dangerous. If it was somewhere else, bringing Lung Zishi along would not be a big deal. However, danger lurked everywhere in the barren Heaven Ridge. Lin Feng didn't know if he could take care of himself after entering. How could she have the energy to take care of Lung Zishi? Of course, Lin Feng admitted that Lung Zishi had some powerful means and powerful magic treasures. But so what? The desolate Sky Ridge was not a place that could be easily entered even if one had powerful techniques and magic treasures. Lung Zishi kept pestering Lin Feng. This made Lin Feng feel very helpless. Lin Feng could only agree verbally. Lin Feng thought to himself, when it was time to leave, he would choose to do it in the middle of the night. Then, he would quietly leave. This way, Lung Zishi would not know. When she woke up, he would have already left. After making up his mind, Lin Feng immediately smiled. Lung Zishi said, "Your smile is too evil. What are you planning?" Lin Feng said, "I'm thinking about when we should consummate our marriage. How about tonight? When we pass the imperial examination, consummating our marriage is definitely the happiest moment in life." Die. Lung Zishi took out her mace and chased after Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled wryly. Even though that little girl was extremely beautiful, she was still a beauty. However, her temper was not something that could be tamed by ordinary people. In the next few days, Shui Yuexin came to find Lin Feng a few times. Shui Yuexin seemed to want to give herself to Lin Feng. However, every time Shui Yuexin came, Long Zixi would appear. Shui Yuexin could only give up. Shui Yuexin hated Long Zixi to the core. However, on the surface, she still appeared to be amiable. I feel that there's something wrong with that woman. On this day, after Shui Yuexin left, Long Zixi said. Lin Feng slightly raised his eyebrows and said, "You should worry about yourself?" "What about me?" Long Zixi asked. "Now, many people are saying that you're a scourge of Sin City. You're causing trouble outside all day," Lin Feng said. Long Zixi retorted, "This is nonsense. This is slander. I'm an extremely kind person. I won't take the initiative to cause trouble. At most, I'll bully the weak." After hearing Long Zixi's words, Lin Feng almost fell to the ground. Long Zixi did not say much on this topic. She thought of Lin Feng's calm expression when she said that there was something wrong with Shui Yuexin. Shui Yuexin said, "You didn't look surprised at all. Did you suspect that woman long ago?" Lin Feng said, "It's not that I suspected her long ago, but this time, I felt that there was something wrong with her. However, I can't tell what exactly is wrong." "Then why didn't you expose her?" Long Zixi asked. "Then," she said, "could it be that you want to make the act real? You want to eat her up first before making a plan? Men are indeed animals who think with their lower bodies." Lin Feng rolled his eyes and said, "Don't make wild guesses about me. I didn't expose her because I don't have any evidence. So, I have to find some evidence or wait for her to reveal some clues." "Humph. So you're blaming me for ruining your plan?" Long Zixi snorted and said. Lin Feng could only laugh bitterly. When a woman was unreasonable, she could turn white into black. Being unreasonable seemed to be something that every woman was extremely good at. Of course, Long Zixi was the same. Lin Feng said, "I don't blame you. It's getting late. Go back and rest." Long Zixi said, "I promise, when that woman comes looking for you again, I definitely won't appear." After saying that, Long Zixi twisted her waist and left. In the next few days, Shui Yuexin did not come looking for Lin Feng again. She was probably worried that Long Zixi would ruin her plan. So, he simply chose to temporarily lie low. There was news from the weapon refining pavilion that the broken arrow had been repaired. Only 8 days had passed. It was actually 2 days shorter than the estimated time of the weapon refining pavilion. When Lin Feng arrived at the weapon refining pavilion, he saw the repaired sun-shooting god arrow. Of course, because it was a broken arrow. So, even if it was reconnected, there were still some differences from the past. But Lin Feng felt that this difference shouldn't be too big. After all, in order to repair the broken arrow, Lin Feng used the resources of dozens of top-notch weapon refiner. The materials used were all top-notch materials, and there was also a perfect array blueprint. Therefore, Lin Feng felt that the repaired sun-shooting god arrow should be able to reach about 90% of its peak power. Lin Feng naturally did not expect to be able to repair it 100%. He could repair about 90%. Lin Feng was actually already satisfied. Lin Feng then went to Pei Jun's place. Pei Jun had just refined 809 Heaven Thunder Source Pearls, and all of them were taken away by Lin Feng, including the 2,309 Heaven Thunder Source Pearls that Lin Feng had obtained before. Lin Feng now had a total of 3,109 Heaven Thunder Source Pearls. So many 9 Heaven Thunder Source Pearls. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile version of reading website. Chapter 5301. After leaving the tool forging pavilion, Lin Feng planned to leave for the barren Sky Ridge that night. Lin Feng met with Du Zhu and the evil dominator's divine ancestor. He told them that he would be leaving that night and asked them to wait for him outside the city. Du Zhu and the evil dominator's divine ancestor knew about Lin Feng's plan. They did not linger and left the ancient city early. They liked to follow Lin Feng. Although they might encounter danger by Lin Feng's side, they could also encounter fortuitous encounters. If they wanted to survive in this chaotic world, they could not be afraid of encountering danger. If they were afraid of encountering danger, they would not be able to survive in this chaotic world. Late at night, Lin Feng left the room without making a sound. After leaving the city of Sin, he met up with Du Zhu and the evil dominator's divine ancestor outside the city. This is your territory. Do you need to be so sneaky when leaving the city? Du Zhu was speechless. Lin Feng sighed and said, I don't want to do this either, but what can I do? If that little girl, Lung Zixi, is alerted, she will definitely chase after us. Du Zhu shrunk his neck and said through gritted teeth, Lung Zixi is not a good person. The reason why the poison ancestor said Lung Zi, she wasn't a good person was because Lung Zi, she had taught the poison ancestor a lesson. Du Zhu was someone who liked to show off. Lung Zixi was also someone who could not stay still and liked to tease others. So it was normal for the two of them to have a conflict. Du Zhu originally thought that Lung Zixi was Lin Feng's woman. Actually, Lung Zixi was not Lin Feng's woman yet. Of course, there was still some ambiguity between them. So he did not plan to fight with Lung Zixi. However, Lung Zixi did not plan to let Du Zhu go. Lung Zixi personality. She was a violent maniac. Then, he grabbed Du Zhu and beat him up. Poor Du Zhu was taught a lesson by Lung Zixi in front of everyone. This matter left Du Zhu depressed for a few days. Du Zhu really didn't want to set off with Lung Zixi because of what had happened before. Lung Zixi was in Du Zhu's heart. Naturally, he was not a good person. Lin Feng said, Let's go. Let's not waste any more time. Du Zhu, an evil dominator, nodded. The three of them quickly left. At noon the next day, when they were passing through a forest, Lin Feng saw two legs dangling from the trunk of a big tree in front of him. Then, those two legs. It kept swaying. Lin Feng felt a little helpless when he saw the two dangling legs. That pair of slender and beautiful legs were too familiar. Who else could it be but Lung Zixi? Lin Feng raised his head and looked up. Sure enough, he saw an incomparably familiar face. Du Zhu also saw Lung Zixi, and he couldn't help but cover his face. He had a helpless expression on his face. Then, he wailed and said, You're really haunting me. Lung Zixi jumped down from the tree. She looked at Lin Feng with a smile and said, My big brother Lin, what are you doing out here? Ahem, I'm out for a walk. Lin Feng coughed dryly and said, Lung Zixi beautiful face, which was originally full of smiles, suddenly became fierce. Her face changed faster than flipping a book. This was probably referring to Lung Zixi. Lung Zixi said, Who are you trying to fool? Are you trying to ditch me and go to the desolate heaven ridge by yourself? Du Zhu said, Not by myself. The three of us are going together. Lung Zixi glared fiercely at Du Zhu, then looked at Lin Feng and said, You're bringing that trash Du Zhu instead of me? What's the meaning of this? Du Zhu felt his gums start to hurt. What did she mean by bringing that trash Du Zhu along? Since when had he become trash? Du Zhu had the urge to slap Lung Zixi until she fainted. Lin Feng said, Du Zhu is different from the evil dominator's sacred ancestor. He's a special life form with an almost indestructible body. Moreover, he's been in many death traps, so he has a better understanding of the various dangers. Entering a death trap will allow him to avoid as many dangers as possible. But you're different. You've only just recovered, and you're not familiar with the death traps. It'll be more dangerous if I bring you there. To put it bluntly, Du Zhu and the evil dominator's sacred ancestor probably won't die because of their special bodies, but you won't. Lin Feng, how dare you look down on me? Lung Zixi was angry. Lin Feng said, I'm not looking down on you. I'm just thinking about your safety. Be obedient and go back to Sin City. I'm not going back. I can't stand these restrictions, so I ran away. Lung Zixi said, Didn't you run to the undying world because you were being chased? Lin Feng asked, puzzled. Lung Zixi rolled her eyes and said, What I mean is that in the past, I was younger than I am now. Because I couldn't stand some restrictions, I ran out of my family's sphere of influence to make my own way. Lin Feng was speechless. You're really audacious, said Lin Feng. Lung Zixi said, If you don't bring me, I'll go by myself. Lin Feng couldn't help but feel helpless. How could he let Lung Zixi go by herself? If Lung Zixi went by herself, who knew what kind of dangerous things would happen? If she stayed by his side, there would at least be someone to take care of her, right? Lin Feng said, If you insist on going, then come with us. But first, when we reach the desolate sky ridge, you have to listen to my orders. Of course, I'm very obedient, Lung Zishi said, hugging Lin Feng's arm when she heard Lin Feng agree. She giggled. It was a stark contrast to the fierce look he had before. Lung Zishi was really a goddess and a psycho at the same time. Chapter 5302. Forsaken Heaven Region. It was a famous region in the Undying Realm. The main reason was because the Forsaken Heaven region had the extremely dangerous Forsaken Heaven Ridge. A place of death was not necessarily a place of death. However, many of the Forsaken Heaven region were places of death. The Forsaken Heaven region was far more terrifying than an ordinary Forsaken Heaven region. Lin Feng and the others arrived at the Forsaken Heaven City. They were still more than 10 days away from the Forsaken Heaven Ridge. Lin Feng and the others had been traveling for more than 4 months, so they needed to rest. Moreover, they had to adjust their condition. This was extremely important for entering the Forsaken Heaven Ridge. If they entered in a bad condition, who knew what kind of terrifying things would happen? The Forsaken Heaven City was very lively, mainly because many people would choose to watch the Forsaken Heaven Ridge from afar. Then, they would feel the unique charm of the Forsaken Heaven Ridge. It was precisely because of this that cultivators who came to watch the Forsaken Heaven Ridge would often choose to rest in the Forsaken Heaven City. Lin Feng and the others found a place to stay. They rested for a while. It was already nighttime. Lung Zishi pulled Lin Feng and the others out. She was someone who could not stay idle. Since she had come to a new ancient city, she naturally wanted to take a good look. Moreover, Lung Zishi was also a foodie and liked all kinds of delicacies. She naturally wanted to taste the delicacies of the Forsaken Heaven City first. At night, the Forsaken Heaven City was also incomparably lively. People came and went, and there were cultivators everywhere. There seemed to be a lot of entertainment in the Forsaken Heaven City. For example, there were many brothel boats in the river in the inner city. There were also many brothels on both sides of the street. There were fewer places to eat. Lung Zishi scolded, "There are no good people in this ancient city, especially those who do business. They can invest in anything, but there are actually so many people investing in brothels. How shameless." Lin Feng said, "Every place has its own customs. I guess this is the only custom here. Moreover, many brothels are not as filthy as you think." "So you've been to a lot of brothels? You are indeed a bad person." Lung Zishi snorted. Lin Feng immediately laughed bitterly. Why was he being dragged into this again? Lung Zishi wanted to find a high-end place to taste the delicacies. However, there were fewer restaurants, and the few that she went to were overcrowded. Thus, Lung Zishi walked towards a place called Immortal Great House. Taste, it meant to taste. Immortal didn't mean immortal ingredients or immortal food, but immortal fairies. Immortal Pavilion meant that this place was a pavilion for tasting fairies. Therefore, this was not a restaurant. It was a brothel. "Miss, we only serve male guests here. We don't serve female guests," a beautiful woman hurriedly said when she saw Lung Zishi rushing over. Lung Zishi pinched the woman's chin and said, "Do you think every woman likes men?" Hearing Lung Zishi's words, the beautiful woman immediately understood what was going on. She smiled coquettishly and said, "Aya, I didn't expect this young lady to like this. Let's go in." At this time, Lin Feng, Du Zhu, and the heretical sovereign sacred ancestor also came in. They naturally heard Lung Zishi's words. The three of them were speechless. Lung Zishi's character. She was really valiant. There was nothing that she didn't dare to say. The beautiful woman brought the four of them to a private room. Lung Zishi said, "We're not used to the food here. Go to the best restaurant and get the best chef to prepare the best food and send it over." After saying that, Lung Zishi took out over 100 immortal stones and threw them on the ground. When the beautiful woman saw the stones, she smiled happily and quickly put them away. Then, she said, "We'll definitely satisfy this young lady. What kind of girls do you want? Is there even a need to ask? We'll take the prettiest girls. Of course, it'll be best if they're beautiful and bold. We'll definitely have fun. If they're stubborn, we won't take them no matter how pretty they are." Lung Zishi said, "Understood, understood." The beautiful woman hurriedly replied. Lin Feng was speechless. He couldn't let Long Zishi continue to cause trouble like this. Lin Feng said, "Don't listen to her nonsense. How about this? Find us some singers, dancers, and musicians." The beautiful woman glanced at Long Zishi. Long Zishi said, "Let's do as this guy says." The beautiful woman nodded and left. Long Zishi said, "Could it be that you can't relax because I'm here? Why don't I leave and make room for you?" Lin Feng said, "If you continue to cause trouble, I'll spank you until your butt blossoms." She suddenly felt a strange sensation when she thought about how she had been spanked by Lin Feng in the past. She glared fiercely at Lin Feng. After that, she didn't say anything else. Not long after, the beautiful singers, dancers, and musicians arrived and performed for Lin Feng and the others. Delicacies were also quickly served. She had come here because she couldn't find a place to eat outside, so she had come up with this idea. Moreover, she could get a group of beautiful girls to perform. Naturally, she was quite satisfied. Of course, this would cost a lot, but she didn't care. After all, she could always ask Lin Feng for more money. Late at night, they returned together. Over the next few days, Lin Feng, Du Zhu, and the heretic dominator rested and recovered. Shi, on the other hand, liked to go outside. One day when she returned, she said mysteriously, "I heard a big piece of news. Do you want to know?" "What news?" Lin Feng looked at Shi in surprise. "It's about Heavenly Emperor Huang." Shi said, "Who is Heavenly Emperor Huang?" Lin Feng couldn't help but feel even more puzzled. Judging from the name, he seemed to be an amazing person. However, Lin Feng didn't know who this person was. "You haven't even heard of Heavenly Emperor Huang? You're really ignorant." She looked at Lin Feng with disdain. "Isn't it normal not to know Heavenly Emperor Huang?" Lin Feng couldn't help but roll his eyes. She said, "Heavenly Emperor Huang is an amazing person. The Forsaken Heaven City we're in was built by him." Lin Feng was shocked. Forsaken Heaven City had existed since the Ancient Chaos Era. The Ancient Chaos Era was an extremely chaotic era. So Forsaken Heaven City was built by Heavenly Emperor Huang. In that case, this Heavenly Emperor Huang that she was talking about was definitely an extremely terrifying existence. End of chapter. Chapter 5303. What did you hear? Lin Feng asked curiously. "It said that Heavenly Emperor Huang is still alive." She said. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. He asked, "What kind of person is Heavenly Emperor Huang?" "Rumor has it that he once joined forces with Great Emperor Ancient Chaos to suppress the dark chaos of the Ancient Chaos Era. His strength has reached the peak of perfection, and he's unimaginably terrifying." Shi said. "How does he compare to those ancient holy emperors, ancient demon gods, and ancient devil emperors?" Lin Feng asked curiously. "He's even a little stronger than them." Shi said. Lin Feng couldn't help but take a deep breath. "You're joking, right?" "Of course I'm not joking." Shi said. "In the beginning, Heavenly Emperor Huang might have been similar to those existences you're talking about, but he joined hands with the Ancient Chaos Great Emperor to suppress the Dark Chaos Great Emperor. A cultivator like him must have received unimaginable benefits. Therefore, he must have reached a higher level of enlightenment. He must have surpassed the holy emperors and ancient bestial gods." When Lin Feng heard Shi, he couldn't help but frown. What Shi said was probably true. After all, suppressing the chaos in the dark world was indeed a great contribution. He had made such a meritorious contribution. It was normal for one's cultivation to reach a higher level of enlightenment. What happened after that? Lin Feng asked curiously. Shi continued. Later on, it was said that Huang Tian Emperor entered the barren sky ridge and died. Huang Tian Emperor was a terrifying existence, and his death in the barren sky ridge caused a huge commotion. Countless people wanted to enter the barren sky ridge to search for Huang Tian Emperor's legacy. You can imagine how great the rewards would be if you could find it. It's just that no one succeeded. But there's no lack of people in this world who aren't afraid of death. A few years ago, someone entered the barren sky ridge and brought back a huge piece of news. That piece of news is that Heavenly Emperor Huang might still be alive. How does he know that Heavenly Emperor Huang isn't dead? Did he find any evidence? Or did he meet Heavenly Emperor Huang? Lin Feng asked. I don't know about that. It is said that after the cultivator escaped, he fell under the control of some peak-level forces. Due to that, the matter was sealed off for a few years. Some time ago, the cultivator managed to escape and spread the news. However, it seems that the cultivator was captured by the cultivators from those great forces. Lung Zishi said. Du Zhu said, those great powers have probably already started exploring the barren sky ridge. Lin Feng said, going in is suicide. A place like the barren sky ridge isn't a place you can explore as you please. In the next few days, Lin Feng paid attention to some of the developments outside. Although the cultivator was taken away again, he did spread some shocking news. However, those who knew the news were all under the control of the major forces. The news that spread outside was only the news that Heavenly Emperor Huang was still alive. However, without any evidence, it was hard for people to believe the authenticity of such news. Therefore, after a few days, the news that Heavenly Emperor Huang was still alive gradually died down. Lin Feng and the others went to the all-knowing pavilion to gather information. The person who received Lin Feng and the others was an elder of the all-knowing pavilion. When the elder heard Lin Feng ask about Heavenly Emperor Huang, he didn't tell Lin Feng anything. Instead, he told Lin Feng that he didn't know the specifics. Lin Feng guessed. The all-knowing pavilion had probably been warned by some great powers. Therefore, they wouldn't sell the information they had. Lin Feng looked at the elder and asked, how much does an elder earn per month from the all-knowing pavilion? The elder replied, about 40,000 immortal stones. 40,000 immortal stones might seem like a lot, but if you think about it carefully, you need a portion for your own cultivation. If you have a family, it's not a small expense. In addition, if you come across something you want to buy, the expenses will probably be even higher. 40,000 immortal stones a month won't be enough for you to live a luxurious life. As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Feng flicked his finger. A river of immortal stones flew out. Here are 10 million immortal stones. I'm giving them to you, elder. You can keep them for your own use. There's no need to hand them over to the all-knowing pavilion. As for whether you want them or not, that's up to you. Lin Feng smiled. After seeing the 10 million immortal stones, the elder's face immediately became gloomy. In the end, the huge profit still occupied his heart. It was a threat to the great powers. He tossed it to the back of his mind. He put the 10 million immortal stones away. Then he said, what do you want to ask, young master? How did that person know that Heavenly Emperor Huang is still alive? Lin Feng asked. It's said that he saw a great battle in the depths of the desolate Heaven Ridge, and the person in the battle called himself Heavenly Emperor Huang. The elder of the all-knowing pavilion said, oh, there's such a thing? Lin Feng couldn't help but feel shocked. He then asked, who was the cultivator who fought against Heavenly Emperor Huang? The elder said, it was a very tall and sturdy man who looked like a savage. What? Lin Feng suddenly stood up. What's wrong? Do you know that savage? Long Zishi asked in astonishment. She rarely saw Lin Feng react so strongly. In her impression, this was the first time. Lin Feng nodded. He didn't explain his relationship with the savage. Lin Feng asked, do you know what happened after that? The elder said, it's said that Heavenly Emperor Huang was defeated. Lin Feng was shocked. Senior Savage. Was he that powerful? Even a terrifying existence like Heavenly Emperor Huang wasn't a match for him? Seriously, it was shocking. What happened after that? Lin Feng asked. I'm not sure about that. The elder of the all-knowing pavilion said. Lin Feng couldn't help but ponder. Why was Senior Savage looking for Heavenly Emperor Huang? It had to be something important, right? In fact, Lin Feng already knew why Senior Savage had entered the time-reversed world, but Lin Feng now suspected that Senior Savage's entry had something to do with Heavenly Emperor Huang. Senior Savage was his Tao protector. He still had some things left behind by his ancestor, Lin Qi. In the past, his cultivation hadn't been strong enough, so Senior Savage had helped him keep those things safe. Now that his cultivation had increased, he could obtain those things. Therefore, Lin Feng was very eager to meet Senior Savage. Could he have a chat with Heavenly Emperor Huang and ask him to send him into the world where time was reversed as well? End of chapter. Chapter 5304. Of course, these were just Lin Feng's guesses for now. Lin Feng didn't know if Heavenly Emperor Huang could really send people into a world where time was reversed. As for whether or not Senior Savage had entered the world through Heavenly Emperor Huang, that was Lin Feng's guess. However, Lin Feng had a strong feeling. He felt that there was a high chance that his guess was correct. After Lin Feng and the others left the all-seeing pavilion, they returned to their residences. Lin Feng planned to observe for a few more days to see if anything special would happen. Not long after, there was news. A peerless expert had appeared, barged into the place where the large factions had imprisoned that cultivator and kidnapped him. When this rumor spread, many people were shocked. Originally, the popularity of Heavenly Emperor Huang had dropped significantly, but now, the news had risen again. This was because everyone realized that this matter might not be as simple as it seemed. Heavenly Emperor Huang dominated the world and ruled over 10 directions. He was a peerless and invincible existence. Now that news of Heavenly Emperor Huang has spread, some large factions are acting strangely. This is enough to explain a lot of things. A cultivator said, "Perhaps Heavenly Emperor Huang really isn't dead?" Another cultivator said, "That is indeed a possibility." Many people agreed with this statement. However, there were also some people who felt that Heavenly Emperor Huang was definitely dead. The cultivator who had been captured by the large factions hadn't told the truth. Perhaps he knew where Heavenly Emperor Huang had fallen. After the cultivator was taken away, the major factions were furious. As a result, they sent out many cultivators to search for the cultivator's whereabouts. However, they didn't find any useful information. A few days later, a shocking piece of news spread. It was said that Heavenly Emperor Huang's descendant had appeared. Heavenly Emperor Huang's descendant would head to the desolate Heaven Ridge to search for him. This matter caused a huge uproar. Didn't Heavenly Emperor Huang have no descendants a long time ago? A cultivator said, "Rumor has it that desolate Heaven Emperor was one of the 9 Heavenly Emperors. I don't know which generation he was from. Even though he was extremely powerful, several of his sons died in battle during the Dark Turmoil. Although he quelled the Dark Turmoil, he didn't have any more children. Of course, he still had some clansmen, but their bloodlines weren't particularly strong. In the end, his clan gradually perished. If that's the case, it's very likely that he's an imposter." A cultivator sneered. What was he trying to do by pretending to be a descendant of Heavenly Emperor Huang? "It's definitely a fake," a cultivator said. Following that, there was another piece of news. 3 days later, the descendants of Heavenly Emperor Huang would arrive at the Forsaken Heaven City. The imposter actually dared to enter the Forsaken Heaven City? Aren't they afraid of being exposed? Someone said. Many cultivators were discussing this matter. The entire Forsaken Heaven City was in an uproar because Heavenly Emperor Huang was still alive and his descendants were about to arrive. Lin Feng and the rest were not in a hurry to leave the Forsaken Heaven City. They planned to observe the situation first. 3 days later, more than 10 cultivators flew over from afar. Leading them was a white-haired old man. "Forsaken Heaven City, the last time I set foot here, it was when the ancient chaos ended." The white-haired old man sighed. Beside the old man was a very pretty young man who was supporting the old man. If one observed carefully, one would be able to tell that the overly pretty young man was actually a young woman disguised as a man. "Ancestor, what happened back then? Why did my clan have to leave the Forsaken Heaven City?" the young woman asked. Sigh. The old man sighed and said, "At that time, I was only a young man of 15 or 16 years old. There were many things that I did not understand, but I vaguely heard my elders talk about the situation back then. It was said that the darkness was not extinguished, so my clan had to flee." "What happened after that?" the young woman asked. "Most of them died. Only a dozen or so clansmen survived." The old man said, "Was it because ancestor Heavenly Emperor Huang died that the calamity that followed caused the extermination of your clan?" the young woman asked. "Yes." The old man nodded. The young woman said, I will definitely be like Ancestor Huang, Heavenly Emperor, and become a supreme expert. At that time, if anyone dares to threaten my clan, I will kill them until they tremble in fear and their entire clan begs for mercy." The old man said, "Take your time. Don't be anxious. You will definitely be able to do it in the future." The old man's evaluation of the young woman was simply too high. He wondered who this young woman was. The group entered the Forsaken Heaven City. "Ancestor, let's go eat something," the young woman said. "All right." The old man nodded. The group found a restaurant. Since all the private rooms were full, they could only sit in the main hall. A dozen or so people gathered around a table and ordered some food. "Aren't the descendants of Heavenly Emperor Huang coming today? It's already afternoon, but they're still not here. Are they not coming?" a diner asked. "What descendants of Heavenly Emperor Huang? They died a long time ago. I don't know where this group of imposters came from. It's said that the experts of the 7 great powers of the Forsaken Heaven region are waiting for these imposters." A cultivator suddenly said, "Why are the 7 great powers of the Forsaken Heaven region waiting for them? Even if these people pretend to be the descendants of Heavenly Emperor Huang, they have nothing to do with the 7 great powers of the Forsaken Heaven region." Another cultivator said. The cultivator said, "Because the cultivators who came out of the Forsaken Heaven Ridge were kidnapped. The 7 great powers of the Forsaken Heaven region suspect that they were kidnapped by a group of people who pretended to be the descendants of Heavenly Emperor Huang. No wonder those fellows are hiding like tortoises, not daring to show themselves. They are afraid of the experts of the 7 great powers of the Forsaken Heaven region." Someone sighed. "Humph, what 7 great powers of the Forsaken Heaven region? What a joke. They're just a mediocre power." A cold laugh suddenly rang out. The main hall, which had been somewhat lively, became completely silent. Everyone turned to look at the source of the voice. Then they saw. The one who spoke was actually an incomparably handsome young man. That handsome young man was the young woman who had disguised herself as a man. However, she had disguised herself very well and had even altered her voice, so no one would have guessed that she was actually a young woman in disguise. Someone said, "Kid, do you know that trouble comes from the mouth? Don't say things you shouldn't say. Otherwise, you won't even know how you died." The young woman sneered and said, "There's nothing I can't say. Even if those mediocre cultivators were here, I would still dare to say the same." "What an arrogant kid. Who gave you the guts to look down on the 7 great powers of the Forsaken Heaven region?" A cold laugh came from upstairs. "Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile version. Chapter 5305. It's Zhang Longming and the others. I'm afraid I've gotten myself into big trouble this time around. The people from the 7 great powers of the Forsaken Heaven region aren't kind-hearted people. Offending them won't end well." Some of the diners started to discuss animatedly. They looked at the young girl's table with pity. As far as they were concerned, offending the people from the 7 major forces was simply a path to death. "Are you guys from the 7 major powers? Just by looking at you, I can tell how pathetic the 7 major powers are," the young girl said sarcastically. She had an arrogant look on her face. This was a sense of superiority that came from her bones. "This little girl seems to be around 17 or 18 years old," Lin Feng said. "She's not a guy?" Du Zhu muttered. "She's disguised as a guy," Lin Feng said. It turned out that Lin Feng and the others were also eating here. They were sitting in the main hall, looking like they were watching a show. Lung Zishi said, "She's even more arrogant than me." "What's there to be arrogant about? She's so young. How much cultivation can she have?" Lin Feng said, "Don't underestimate this little girl. I feel that she's not simple. Let's just wait and see." When Long Zishi heard Lin Feng compliment the girl, she wasn't convinced, but she didn't say anything. She just wanted to see what would happen next. "You dare to humiliate us? We'll kill you today," a cultivator said coldly. The cultivator who spoke was Zhang Longming. He was at the peak of the Earth Immortal realm. Next, Zhang Longming flew down from the 2nd floor. The others also flew down to the 1st floor. It seemed that the cultivators from the 7 major powers were about to attack. These people could do whatever they wanted in the Forsaken Heaven region. Therefore, they would not be at a disadvantage. Who would dare to offend them? They would definitely use cruel methods to take revenge. Seeing those people fly down, the young girl stretched out her right hand and tapped lightly in the air. The group seemed to have lost their ability to fly. They all fell to the ground. They were as pathetic as they could be. What are you doing? Snatching food to eat? What a pitiful bunch. Come, I'll reward you with something to eat. The girl threw a plate of pastries to the group of people. The corners of the cultivators' mouths twitched violently. Wasn't this the same as calling the cultivators of the 7 great powers a bunch of dogs? Only dogs would snatch food to eat. As the saying goes, a scholar prefers death to humiliation. For these people who came from big forces, they were even more concerned about their reputation. These people were humiliated. Their killing intent soared to the heavens. We want your dog life. A group of cultivators got up from the ground and rushed towards the girl. Kneel, the young girl said coldly. Her voice seemed to contain a terrifying magic. The group of cultivators immediately knelt on the ground. Why is it like this? Why is this happening? The cultivators from the 7 great powers roared furiously. They were about to go crazy. No matter what, they were still a group of people with status. Now, he was actually kneeling on the ground. What a disgrace. That kid seems to be around 17 or 18 years old. How can he be so powerful? A cultivator said in disbelief. The young girl didn't use a secret technique to hide her true age. That's why other cultivators were able to detect her age. So young, yet so powerful. It was truly shocking. Who exactly are you? How dare you humiliate the cultivators of the 7 great powers of the Forsaken Heaven region like this? A cold voice came from a private room on the 2nd floor. Then, a cultivator stepped out. When they saw that cultivator, many people were shocked, because that cultivator's background was extremely great. He came from the Thousand Desolation sect of the Forsaken Heaven region. His name was Thousand World Sect. Among the younger generation, this Thousand World Sect was second only to the 8 young masters. However, some people said that the Thousand World Sect could already compete with the 8 young masters. Because the Thousand World Sect had a lot of fortuitous encounters in the past few years, their cultivation had greatly increased. There were still many people who believed in this saying. I heard that you're looking for the descendant of Heaven Emperor Huang. I'm the descendant of Heaven Emperor Huang, the young girl said. Hearing this, Thousand World Sect slightly narrowed his eyes. He glanced at the young girl, then looked at the group of people at the young girl's table. When he saw the old man, he couldn't help but frown slightly. That old man made him feel an extremely dangerous aura. The Thousand World Sect was weak, so they didn't dare to offend these people too much. If they really fought because of this, at that time, the one who would suffer would still be him. However, the cultivators of the 7 great powers had been humiliated, and this matter couldn't be let go so easily. Otherwise, where would the dignity of the 7 great powers be? The 7 influential groups have indeed been looking for you, but we don't have any evil intentions. However, Your Excellency, you've humiliated us in such a way. The 7 influential groups aren't easy to bully. If you don't give me a satisfactory answer today, I'll immediately summon some strong cultivators from the 7 influential groups. At that time, don't blame us for bullying you because we have the advantage in numbers, said Lin Feng. Thousand World Sect said in a deep voice. I don't have any ill intentions. You should know better than me. Also, don't threaten me. If I was afraid of you, I wouldn't have made a move. The young girl still had a look of indifference. It was as if she really didn't put the 7 great powers in her eyes. Xiao Yi, today's matter was indeed a bit impulsive. At this moment, the old man said, Ancestor. The young girl called out, looking a little unconvinced. The old man waved his hand, and the young girl didn't continue speaking. The old man cupped his fists and said, Today's matter is our fault. I have a bottle of soul-refining pills here. Treat it as compensation for these little friends. I hope everyone can forgive Xiao Yi's recklessness. What? Soul-refining pills? That's a top immortal pill. It can nourish the soul and greatly improve a cultivator's soul realm. It's priceless. And that old man actually took out a bottle. There are more than 20 people kneeling on the ground. Doesn't that mean that there are at least 20 soul-refining pills? And there might be more? A cultivator couldn't help but exclaim. Many cultivators had heard of the famous soul-refining pills, so when they saw the porcelain bottle in the old man's hand, their eyes were wide open. They couldn't wait to snatch the soul-refining pills away. However, the white-haired old man's strength was unfathomable. So, as for the rest, even if they had the intention to steal, they didn't have the courage to do so. When the cultivators of the 7 great powers kneeling on the ground heard that it was the soul-refining pills, their eyes immediately widened. Please remember the domain name of this book, mobile version of reading website. Chapter 5306. Alright, since Senior is so sincere, I'll let today's matter go. Wan Shizong was a very tactful person. Since the other party had already given him a way out, he wouldn't continue. Naturally, he would not continue to pester them. Even if he really wanted to take revenge, now is not the time. The old man flicked his finger, and the bottle containing the soul-refining pills flew towards Wan Shizong. Wan Shizong kept the bottle. Little E, let these people go as well. The old man looked at the young girl. The young girl was obviously unwilling, but since the old man had spoken, she couldn't go against it. So, she could only let them go. The cultivators from the 7 factions stood up. Let's go, Wan Shizong said. They didn't stay and quickly left. Are you done eating? The old man looked at the others and asked. We're done eating. The cultivators said. All right, let's settle the bill and leave. The old man said. Someone went to settle the bill. Seeing that these people were about to leave, Lin Feng stood up and walked towards the other party's table. Someone stopped Lin Feng, not letting Lin Feng get too close to the old man. I have something to discuss with Senior, Lin Feng said. The cultivator who stopped Lin Feng looked at the old man. The old man looked at Lin Feng and asked, What do you want to discuss, young friend? Lin Feng said, It's like this. I want to exchange a bottle of soul refining pills with Senior. Is that possible? Hee, soul essence pills are nothing to my clan, but we don't exchange them with other people easily, said Lin Feng. The young girl said coldly. After hearing the young girl's words, Lin Feng's heart couldn't help but tremble slightly. Soul refining pills were very precious. There were basically no soul refining pills in circulation on the market. But this young girl said that the soul essence pill was nothing to her clan. This meant that her clan had most likely grasped the method to refine soul refining pills. Otherwise, how could her clan look down on soul refining pills? It was because they could refine them that they didn't think that soul refining pills were anything special. But to outsiders, the soul essence pill was a supreme treasure that could drive countless cultivators crazy. Lin Feng said, Children shouldn't interrupt when adults are talking. What did you say? Upon hearing Lin Feng's words, the young girl was enraged. She glared fiercely at Lin Feng with her phoenix eyes. He was itching to teach Lin Feng a lesson right now. Lin Feng ignored the young girl and looked at the old man. The girl became even angrier. Because Lin Feng actually dared to ignore her, this was truly intolerable. The old man smiled and said, So many people want to obtain the soul origin pill, but you're the only one who dares to talk to me about it. You're quite brave. Lin Feng said, Because I don't think you're a bad person, even if I offended you, you wouldn't be angry. I also want the soul origin pill, so I said it. If I'm lucky, you might make a deal with me. That way, I'll be able to obtain the soul origin pill. If I'm unlucky, at most, I won't be able to obtain the soul origin pill. I won't lose anything. So, you're doing this because you don't think I'm a bad person and won't attack you? The old man asked Lin Feng. Yes. Lin Feng nodded. Bootlicker. The young girl snorted coldly. Lin Feng continued to ignore her. The old man said, What if you're wrong? Lin Feng said, Even if I'm wrong, even if my actions really make you angry, you still won't attack me. Why are you so sure? The old man asked. Lin Feng said, If you like to use force to solve problems, you won't stop this, nephew. You dare to take advantage of me? Do you want to die? The young girl glared at Lin Feng angrily. She had wanted to teach Lin Feng a lesson for a long time. Now, she finally had an opportunity. Xiaoyi, don't be impulsive, the old man said. The young girl was annoyed. She wanted to attack him again and again, but she was stopped every time. This made her feel very sullen. The old man said, There aren't many young people with a temperament like yours. All right, I can make a deal with you. One bottle of pills has 50 soul origin pills. How about this? Take out 1,000 immortal herbs, and you can take one bottle of soul origin pills. 1,000 immortal herbs was not a small number. Even a cultivator from a top power would find it difficult to take out 1,000 immortal herbs. However, to Lin Feng, 1,000 immortal herbs were nothing. Lin Feng said, "Senior, can I exchange for a few more bottles?" The old man said, "A cultivator can only take 5 soul origin pills at most. Taking too many will only harm the body." Hearing this, Lin Feng felt that it was a pity. It would be great if he could take as many soul origin pills as he wanted. However, such a situation was almost impossible. These top-grade pills all contained extremely strong resistance to medicinal effects. This point, Lin Feng was very clear on this point. However, Lin Feng still wanted to exchange for more. Even if he couldn't use them, others could. Lin Feng said, "I still have some friends who need soul origin pills, so I want to exchange for more." The old man said, "All right, I'll give you another bottle." The old man took out 2 bottles of soul origin pills. Lin Feng took out 2,000 immortal herbs. Seeing a young cultivator like Lin Feng casually take out 2,000 immortal herbs, many people couldn't help but wonder. Many people couldn't help but mutter. Could it be that this kid had a fortuitous encounter? Was that why he could take out so many immortal herbs? Many people were looking at Lin Feng in an ice-cold way. However, Lin Feng didn't care. They wanted to die. Even if they came looking for trouble, Lin Feng was ready to accompany them anytime. "What's your name?" The young girl looked at Lin Feng and asked, "Why are you asking this?" Lin Feng asked, "I'm giving you face by asking." The young girl gritted her teeth and said, Actually, the reason why she asked for Lin Feng's name was because she wanted to find Lin Feng after settling down. Then, she would teach Lin Feng a lesson. Now that she was looking for trouble with Lin Feng, with the ancestor stopping her, she couldn't do anything. However, the young girl naturally wouldn't say this out loud. Seeing the young girl's arrogant attitude, Lin Feng couldn't help but sneer. In this world, there were always some people who thought they were better than others. It was truly laughable and foolish. Lin Feng ignored the young girl and walked towards his table. "You still haven't told me your name," the young girl said. "The current you is not qualified to know my name." Lin Feng replied indifferently. "You dare to look down on me?" The young girl couldn't help but clench her fists and look angrily at Lin Feng, gnashing her teeth. End of chapter. Chapter 5307. Lin Feng met up with Lung Zishi and the others. Lung Zishi, Du Zhu, the evil dominator, and the sacred ancestor were all very happy, as they had a share of the soul essence pills that Lin Feng had obtained. They were naturally very excited, as increasing their soul's boundary was extremely important to any cultivator. When they thought about how their soul's boundary was about to increase, they couldn't stop grinning. At that moment, someone walked forward. Just like Lin Feng, this person wanted to exchange for soul essence pills. However, the old man ordered them to leave. The first person to make a move would have meat to eat, while the second person would have to suffer. The old man and the others didn't stop, and they continued walking outside. The girl called Xiaoyi turned around and glared at Lin Feng before leaving with the old man and the others. Duzu asked, "Do you think these people are really the descendants of Heavenly Emperor Huang?" Lin Feng replied, "They do seem to be the descendants of Heavenly Emperor Huang." At that moment, many cultivators gathered around. When Lin Feng saw them, he couldn't help but frown slightly. He could roughly guess what these people were up to. One of them said, "Little brother, you can't use so many pills. Why don't you sell some to us? We'll buy them at a high price." Lin Feng replied, "I'm sorry, but I already have some of these pills, and I don't think they're enough. That's why I have no intention of selling them." At that moment, someone in the crowd sneered, "That's a total of 100 pills. You're sharing a portion with us, but we didn't ask you to take them all out. We're outside, so we're giving you face, and you're giving me face as well. If you don't give us face, then don't blame us for being impolite." The person who had spoken didn't show himself, and his methods were extraordinary. Even Lin Feng couldn't see who had spoken, so it was obvious that this person didn't have good intentions. His words were very provocative, and Lin Feng couldn't help but sneer when he heard what the cultivator had said. His expression was indifferent as he said, "Don't say such things behind people's backs. If you want the pills, you can try attacking me." Refusing a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Don't forget, this is the Forsaken Heaven City. You foreign cultivators should behave yourselves. Otherwise, who knows if you can even see the sun tomorrow. The voice continued to threaten Lin Feng. Lin Feng said indifferently, "If you come out now, I can guarantee that you won't see the sun tomorrow." "Brat, you're really arrogant." The voice in the dark said, "You don't even dare to show yourself. You're just a piece of trash. I don't want to waste my time talking to trash like you." Lin Feng mocked. "You." The existence in the dark was clearly enraged. Lin Feng ignored him and said, "Let's go." They stood up. Lung Zishi shouted, "A good dog doesn't block the way. Hurry up and get out of the way." "What are you talking about? Who are you scolding?" Many people glared at him angrily. "I'm scolding a dog. Are you guys scolding me?" Lung Zishi looked like she wanted the world to be in chaos. She couldn't wait to fight. The surrounding people were so angry that their faces turned ashen, but they couldn't continue arguing with Lung Zishi. Because, if they continued arguing, wouldn't they be admitting that they were dogs? Lin Feng and the others paid the bill and left the restaurant. They didn't plan to stay outside any longer. They planned to return to their residence. Then, they would go into seclusion to refine the soul-refining pill. On the way back, a black shadow appeared and headed straight for Lin Feng. Humph! Lin Feng couldn't help but snort coldly. He casually slashed out a ray of sword chi. Pooh! A tearing sound and a painful groan could be heard. The black shadow was obviously injured. The black shadow didn't dare to stay any longer. He turned around and fled. That guy's escape technique was extremely good. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared without a trace. F***CK. It must be some people from the restaurant. They actually dared to intercept us halfway. They really don't know what's good for them. If I had known, I would have secretly released some poison and poisoned all those bastards to death. Duzu cursed. Lin Feng said, "They're just a bunch of rascals. Don't worry about them." The few of them returned to their residence. Since they were going into seclusion, they had to be fully prepared. Who knew if some people who didn't care about their lives would sneak up on them while they were in seclusion? This was something they had to take precautions against. After returning, Lin Feng began to set up some powerful formations. If there really was someone who didn't know what was going on, when the time came, the formations would be enough to make them suffer. Even if they didn't die, they would lose a layer of skin. After setting up the formations, Lin Feng could enter seclusion with peace of mind. Lin Feng took out the pills. Lung Zishi, Du Zhu, and the evil dominator each received 5 pills. After receiving the pills, the 3 of them returned to their rooms and entered seclusion. Lin Feng also returned to his room. He also took out 5 pills. In the past few years, Lin Feng's realm had been breaking through very quickly. In addition to his own realm breaking through quickly, Lin Feng's soul realm had also been improving very quickly. Especially when he was breaking through a large realm, his soul realm had improved even faster. Right now, Lin Feng's soul realm had already reached the peak of the gold immortal realm. The reason why Lin Feng's soul realm had improved so quickly was mainly related to Lin Feng's primordial spirit. Lin Feng wondered if he could use the soul essence pill to raise his soul realm to the saint immortal realm. If his soul realm could successfully break through to the saint immortal realm, it would definitely be a huge improvement for him. Lin Feng took a deep breath. Then, he swallowed the 5 soul essence pills. Then, Lin Feng began to refine the soul essence pills. Soon, the soul essence pill was refined into an extremely pure energy. Lin Feng began to absorb the energy that the soul essence pills had broken down into. As the energy was absorbed by Lin Feng's soul power began to increase. When the soul power had accumulated to a certain extent, Lin Feng began to try to break through to the saint immortal realm. However, it was not an easy task. Once, twice, thrice, 4 times, Lin Feng tried to break through to the saint immortal realm soul realm again and again. He tried many times. He was unable to break through. However, Lin Feng did not give up. He tried a total of 375 times. Finally, The barrier of the realm. Lin Feng successfully broke through. Lin Feng's soul realm. He had finally broken through to the Saint Immortal realm. Lin Feng opened his eyes. His face was filled with joy. It was too important for the soul realm to break through to the Saint Immortal realm, because this meant that Lin Feng's soul attack could hurt a Saint Immortal realm cultivator. Lin Feng, how about we make a deal? Right at this moment, a voice resounded in Lin Feng's mind. This voice. Please remember the domain name of this book, mobile version of reading website. Chapter 5308. Lin Feng had been busy with all sorts of things recently, so he didn't have time to deal with Murong Yuxuan. Murong Yuxuan hadn't taken the initiative to contact Lin Feng either. But now, she had taken the initiative to contact Lin Feng. Lin Feng couldn't help but raise his eyebrows slightly, then he asked, "What kind of deal do you want to make?" "I can agree to help you realize your ambitions, and in return, you have to give me my freedom and 5 soul origin pills," Murong Yuxuan said. Lin Feng had already guessed that Murong Yuxuan had come out to negotiate with him because of the soul origin pills. Therefore, Lin Feng wasn't particularly surprised when he heard Murong Yuxuan's words. Murong Yuxuan was an extremely shrewd woman. She wouldn't agree to something that wasn't profitable. Lin Feng said, "Do you think you're qualified to talk to me about this?" Murong Yuxuan said, I do. I do have the qualifications. You should know how special God King Valley is. After I return to God King Valley, I can pull God King Valley to your side. At that time, you won't just have God King Valley as an ally, because there are too many factions that have good relations with God King Valley. Therefore, I think you should know my value. Lin Feng said, "Yes, it's as you said. God King Valley is a very important faction, but you're just a cultivator of the younger generation. Even if you're extraordinary, do you think you can influence the decisions of the higher-ups? You can't. Therefore, you're just drawing a big pie in advance, but it's a pie that you can't eat." "I can influence the decisions of the higher-ups," Murong Yuxuan said. "Oh?" Lin Feng was a little surprised because Murong Yuxuan's tone was very firm. This made Lin Feng puzzled. What kind of ability did Murong Yuxuan have to influence the decisions of the higher-ups? Moreover, he had a look of absolute certainty. Lin Feng asked, "How can you influence the decisions of the higher-ups?" "This is a secret of mine, and only the higher-ups know about it." Murong Yuxuan took a deep breath and said, "What secret?" Lin Feng asked doubtfully. "I am the reincarnation of the daughter of the founder of the godly King Valley," Murong Yuxuan said. "What?" Hearing this, Lin Feng's face couldn't help but reveal an extremely shocked expression. Reincarnated bodies were extremely rare. However, any reincarnated body, they were all extremely terrifying figures. Murong Yuxuan said that she was a reincarnated body. Moreover, she was the reincarnation of the daughter of the godly King Valley's founder. This identity was too sensitive. This identity could indeed affect the upper echelons of the godly King Valley. Murong Yuxuan said, "That's why I said I can influence those higher-ups. Do you think I have that ability?" Lin Feng replied, "Indeed, you might be able to affect them. So we can make this deal." Murong Yuxuan let out a long breath. Lin Feng summoned Murong Yuxuan. Seeing Murong Yuxuan again, he still felt amazed. Murong Yuxuan was truly a goddess-like beauty. "Can you undo my seal now?" Murong Yuxuan asked. Lin Feng said, "Don't worry, there are some words that are useless. Therefore, I need you to swear allegiance to me. I don't think this request is too much, right?" "I can swear," Murong Yuxuan said. In fact, when she decided to cooperate with Lin Feng, Murong Yuxuan had already thought that Lin Feng would make her swear allegiance to him. Murong Yuxuan naturally didn't want to agree, but she had to agree even if she didn't want to. She was under the eaves. She had no choice but to lower her head. Furthermore, swearing allegiance was definitely a basic condition for both sides to negotiate. If even this basic condition couldn't be met, this negotiation was meaningless. It was a negotiation that could not be continued. "Let's begin now," Lin Feng said. Murong Yuxuan raised her right hand. She pointed at the sky and swore, "I, Murong Yuxuan, swear on my soul that from now on, I will be loyal to Lin Feng and will never betray Lin Feng. If I violate this oath, May my soul shatter and scatter. After Morong Yuxuan swore, an oath rune formed between Lin Feng and Morong Yuxuan. From now on, Morong Yuxuan would never be able to betray Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled and said, "A wise man submits to circumstances. You will know in the future that your decision today is completely correct." Morong Yuxuan said, "I hope so. Can you undo my seal now?" Lin Feng came in front of Morong Yuxuan and pinched her snow-white chin, raising her face slightly. "What are you doing?" Morong Yuxuan's long eyelashes fluttered, and she looked at Lin Feng nervously. She was naturally worried that Lin Feng would do something bad to her. If Lin Feng really did that, she didn't have the ability to go against Lin Feng. Said Lin Feng, "I just want to quietly admire that beautiful face, because I don't know when I'll be able to see it again." Hearing this, Morong Yuxuan's face couldn't help but blush slightly. This appearance was really charming. Lin Feng lowered his head. He kissed Morong Yuxuan's red lips. You. Morong Yuxuan was like a frightened rabbit and quickly pushed Lin Feng away. She then pointed at Lin Feng. Her face was so red that it was almost bleeding. Cough. Sorry. I'm really sorry. I couldn't control myself just now. Lin Feng said. "You're shameless," Morong Yuxuan said hatefully. The first kiss that she had saved for so many years was taken away just like that. She was naturally incomparably angry. Lin Feng said, "It's not like I've been shameless for a day or two. You have to remember that I'm your master. Even if I let you serve me in bed, it's a matter of course, not to mention that I just kissed you. I'll submit to you, but that doesn't include serving you in bed. If you dare to force me to serve you in bed, I'd rather die." Morong Yuxuan said hatefully. Lin Feng said, "I'm just joking with you. Why take it so seriously? But when we get to know each other more in the future, maybe you'll beg to serve me in bed." "Bah, who would beg to serve you in bed? You're really shameless to the extreme." Morong Yuxuan spat softly. Lin Feng said, "Who can say for sure what will happen in the future? Now, I'll break the restriction on your body." As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Feng released a series of seals. The seals fused into Morong Yuxuan's body. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile version of reading website. Chapter 5309. Morong Yuxuan had regained her freedom. Her face immediately lit up with joy. She had been molested by Lin Feng. She had forgotten about it. The feeling of freedom was too good. Why hadn't she felt this way before? Perhaps only after losing his freedom would he be able to feel the wonderful feeling of freedom. "You have regained your freedom. You can return to the godly King Valley," Lin Feng said. Morong Yuxuan stretched out her right hand and said, "You promised me the soul-refining pill. Can you give it to me now?" Lin Feng took out the soul-refining pill. He then handed it over to Morong Yuxuan. After accepting the soul-refining pill, Morong Yuxuan was very happy. The soul-refining pill was also very effective for her. Morong Yuxuan said, "I know you plan to enter the barren sky ridge, but you should think twice before entering. The danger of that place is far beyond your imagination." "Has anyone from the godly King Valley entered it before?" Lin Feng asked curiously. "In the past, my father entered that place. Even someone as strong as him almost died." Morong Yuxuan said. "Yes." Lin Feng nodded. He knew how terrifying the barren sky ridge was, but Lin Feng would still enter it. There were some things that could only be solved in the barren sky ridge. This was a problem that couldn't be avoided. However, Lin Feng didn't talk about it with Morong Yuxuan for long. Morong Yuxuan said, "I'm leaving. If there's anything, you can send someone to the Godly King Valley to contact me. If I'm not in the Godly King Valley, you can also contact the other higher-ups." "All right. Be careful on the way," Lin Feng said. Morong Yuxuan gave Lin Feng a deep look and left. After Morong Yuxuan left, the Demon Lord's voice echoed in Lin Feng's mind. The Demon Lord said, "Give me a few soul-refining pills." After hearing the Demon Lord's voice, Lin Feng was very happy. Lin Feng asked, "Demon Lord, when did you wake up?" "I just woke up not too long ago," the Demon Lord said. "How's your recovery?" Lin Feng continued to ask. "You've recovered quite well," the Demon Lord replied. "That's good. Lin Feng was delighted. He took out 5 soul essence pills and gave them to the demon lord. Lin Feng then took out another Saint Devil reincarnation pill and gave it to the demon lord. Is this the Saint Devil reincarnation pill? The demon lord couldn't help but exclaim after a careful observation. Lin Feng asked in astonishment, "You know about the Holy Devil reincarnation pill as well?" "Of course." The demon lord nodded and said, "That's a heaven-defying medicinal pill. With a medicinal pill like that, you'll be able to do a lot of things." After that, the demon lord didn't say anything else. He probably went to refine the soul-refining pill. Lin Feng then summoned Bibi and the others. Bibi, Blackie, Xiaolong, the Emperor Archaic, the Ancestor Insect, the Devil King Insect, and the 3-headed Viper each received 5 soul-refining pills. The Dragon Rabbit wasn't good at fighting, so he didn't give it any. Bibi and the others went to refine the soul-refining pills. Next, Lin Feng summoned the Stone Golem clone. The Stone Golem clone also received 5 soul-refining pills. The Stone Golem clone's cultivation level was much higher than Lin Feng's. The Stone Golem had already broken through to the Golden Immortal Realm, while Lin Feng was still working hard to break through to the Sky Immortal Realm. Lung Zishi, Du Zhu, and the Demonic Dominator came out of seclusion one after another. When they came out, they were beaming with joy. It seemed that they had all received a lot of benefits. Lin Feng was naturally happy for them. Boom! At that moment, there was a violent fluctuation. Someone's fighting. Lung Zishi shouted excitedly. Then, she ran out. Lin Feng and the others also rushed out. They saw from afar that there was indeed a great battle in the distance. Surprisingly, Lin Feng knew all the people who were fighting. One of them was the cross-dressing girl. The other was the Thousand World sect. It wasn't strange that the two of them were fighting against Lin Feng. At that moment, Lin Feng heard the conversation of the cultivators next to him. "I heard that the descendant of Heavenly Emperor Huang provoked the Thousand World sect? There's such a thing? Of course. The descendant of Heavenly Emperor Huang is young, but he's not someone who's afraid of trouble." At that moment, another cultivator said, "Brother, don't spread rumors. Brother, don't spread false information here." It was the 7 great powers who provoked the descendants of Celestial Emperor Huang first, said Lin Feng. "What exactly is going on?" someone asked. The cultivator explained, "It all started like this. The descendant of Heavenly Emperor Huang went to the ancient Wasteland Trading Company to buy some things, and then he encountered the cultivators of the 7 great powers. I'm sure you all know about the previous conflict. Although it was resolved, it couldn't be helped. After all, the 7 great powers didn't have the upper hand. Moreover, the descendant of Heavenly Emperor Huang had the support of an expert from the older generation. That old man also gave them a bottle of soul essence pills as compensation, so the matter was temporarily settled. But the cultivators of the 7 great powers still hate the descendant of Huang Tian Emperor. That young man was alone and was targeted by the cultivators of the 7 great powers. They wanted to get back at him, so they contacted some experts to besiege that young man. The result was unexpected. A group of people was defeated by that young man. That young man is also ruthless. This time, he directly crippled all of them. Hiss. After hearing the cultivator's words, many people couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. This was the territory of the 7 great powers, and he dared to cripple the cultivators of the 7 great powers. How audacious. The cultivator continued. The Wanshu sect was also nearby. When they saw so many people being crippled, they were naturally infuriated. That's why they fought against that young man. I think the Wanshu sect is the mastermind behind this, someone said. The cultivator's words resonated with many people. Indeed, many people felt that the Wanshu sect was the mastermind behind this. However, the Wanshu sect didn't think that the young man would dare to cripple so many people from the 7 great powers. I'll let you know how the word regret is written. The Wanshu sect floated in the air, his expression extremely gloomy. He looked at the young man with a murderous gaze. Although she was disguised as a man, she didn't have the weakness of a woman. On the contrary, she was extremely domineering and arrogant. The girl looked at the Wanshu sect with disdain and sneered, "With just you? A piece of trash like you dares to talk so big?" Who gave you the courage? The cultivators who were watching the show immediately vented their anger. That young man dared to look down on the Wanshur sect. Wasn't that too arrogant? End of chapter. Chapter 53:10. As a top genius of the Thousand Worlds sect, he was naturally infuriated to be looked down upon like this. Shameless boasting. I'll let you have a taste of my theurgy. Thousand Tao Heaven Slaying. The Thousand Worlds sect coldly shouted as a huge world appeared behind him. It was a world of darkness. That world of darkness seemed to be able to devour everything. Within that world of darkness, tens of thousands of swords appeared. Each of those swords seemed to be swords that had transcended the desolate era. It was simply unimaginable how powerful those swords were. Whoosh, 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 however. At this very moment, those swords turned into streams of light and quickly flew out of the world of darkness. In the blink of an eye, they had already flown out of the world of darkness. The densely packed swords all slashed towards the young girl. What a terrifying theurgy. Many people were shocked. The Thousand Worlds sect's fame had already spread throughout the Forsaken Heaven region. Many experts of the older generation might not even be a match for the Thousand Worlds sect. In these years, the Thousand Worlds sect had been constantly challenging experts in order to achieve self-transcendence. Therefore, many experts had died in the hands of the Thousand Worlds sect, and the Thousand Worlds sect's cultivation had been soaring. Now, it was widely rumored that the Thousand Worlds sect could contend against the Undying Realm's 8 young masters. Many people believed this without a doubt. Therefore, one could infer how powerful the Thousand Worlds sect's battle strength was. There might be many people who knew the Thousand Worlds sect, but very few had seen the Thousand Worlds sect in action. Therefore, when everyone saw the Thousand Worlds sect in action, they were still extremely shocked. The scene was grand, and the momentum shook the heavens. Of course, the power was also unimaginable. Such battle strength could be described as unfathomable. Countless swords pierced through the void and instantly arrived in front of the young girl. Those swords came from all directions. They surrounded the young girl. There was simply no way to dodge. I wonder if that young man can withstand the Thousand Worlds sect's attack? Someone couldn't help but mutter to himself, I think it'll be difficult. The Thousand Worlds sect is indeed too powerful. Even if that young man's strength is extraordinary, he's still too young. Compared to an existence like the Thousand Worlds sect, there's definitely a huge gap. Someone continued. Many people nodded. Indeed, that cultivator voiced the thoughts of many people. And at this moment, the young man made his move. The young man slowly walked towards the Thousand Worlds sect. When the densely packed swords were only a meter away from the young man's body, they were all frozen in the void. It was difficult for him to take another step forward. Oh my God, what kind of method was this? Could it be that he was imprisoning the void? Spatial shackles shouldn't be able to trap all those swords, right? A cultivator couldn't help but say. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. He felt that the girl's technique wasn't as simple as void confinement. However, it was hard for Lin Feng to say what kind of method it was. The only thing that could be confirmed was that the girl's methods were indeed terrifying. The girl didn't stop. He continued to walk forward. At this moment, something shocking happened. A sword was floating in the air. All of them shattered. Many people were astonished. They didn't even know what method the girl used to break the Thousand Era sect's divine ability. It was truly inconceivable. The Thousand Worlds sect's face became gloomy. He didn't expect the girl to be so powerful. The Thousand Worlds sect couldn't help but snort coldly, then said, What a powerful method. No wonder you're so arrogant. Take this next move of mine. Great desolate divine palm. The Thousand Worlds sect coldly shouted. Across the void, a palm struck towards the girl. In the void, a huge energy palm was condensed. That energy palm was condensed from the power of desolation. This power of desolation was not only powerful, but it also contained the power of time. When the power of desolation exploded, it was as if it could destroy the world. Therefore, this great desolate divine palm was definitely an unparalleled technique. The gigantic hand of energy enveloped the girl. It ruthlessly attacked. However, then, a shocking scene appeared. When the energy palm landed on the girl's body trembled. The energy palm instantly dissipated. What happened? Countless people looked at each other. That was because no one knew what method the young girl had used, but the energy palm had already been shattered. That little girl is so powerful. Duzu couldn't help but sigh. Lung Zishi muttered, "What's so powerful about that? Compared to me, she's too weak." Although she said that, but in reality, in Lung Zishi's heart, she was also very shocked. Because that girl was indeed too powerful. Most importantly, no one knew what method she used to break the Thousand World Sect's attack. The unknown was the most terrifying. So weak, Thousand World Sect, I've heard of your reputation, but now it seems that calling you trash is an insult to the word trash. The girl sneered. Many people smiled bitterly. She was as arrogant as ever. I'm now suspecting whether that boy is the son of Heaven Emperor Huang. Otherwise, how can he be so powerful? Someone said. A few of Heaven Emperor Huang's sons died in battle during the dark turmoil, so he obviously isn't. Maybe he awakened his ancestral blood. Someone said. The girl was very good at hiding, and basically no one realized that she was a girl. They all thought that she was a teenager. If everyone knew that she was actually a teenager, they would be even more surprised. Because the top geniuses or experts in history, most of them were men. How many women were there? They could be counted on one hand. Don't be too complacent. This is just the beginning. Winning first doesn't mean that you will always win. The one who laughs until the end is the real winner. Thousand World Sect sneered. As soon as he finished speaking, Thousand World Sect used a powerful sacred art. Everyone saw. Thousand World Sect's body began to disintegrate. Thousand World Sect's body split into 2, 2 into 4, 4 into 8, just like that. Continuously disintegrating, continuously disintegrating. Thousand World Sect's body grew more and more, and finally, hundreds of Thousand World Sect's bodies appeared. Is it an illusion? Someone said. At this time, a cultivator said, it's not an illusion. Each of them is formed by combining vitality with the puppet technique. It's said that the clones created this way can have 70% of their original battle strength. Please remember the domain name of this book, mobile version of reading website. Chapter 5311. It was no wonder that the cultivator was so shocked. It was because Wan Shizong's method was too powerful. Of course, although those clones could unleash 70% of the original body's battle strength. However, they couldn't hold on for a long time. Thinking about it, it made sense. They were already so powerful. To hold on for a long time was too abnormal. If they were too abnormal, they would be punished by the heavens. Even the heavens wouldn't allow such a method to exist. Therefore, there was a limit to all kinds of powerful methods. But even if they could only hold on for a while, there were too many clones. The lethality caused was also unimaginable. Kill. Wan Shizong coldly shouted. After his voice fell, then, the dense clones all charged towards the girl. Hundreds of clones, attacking together. Just how vast was the momentum created by this? It was simply shocking. In the void, the killing intent seemed to have condensed into a substance. Hundreds of clones displayed their methods. All kinds of powerful divine abilities condensed and charged towards Wan Shizong. So many divine abilities gathered together. It was like the end of the world. The surrounding cultivators couldn't help but reveal a terrified expression on their faces. At this time, everyone saw that when those divine abilities bombarded the young man, snowflakes began to fall around the young man. The snowflakes were beautiful and magnificent. After the snowflakes fell, the snowflakes actually bloomed. Then, those snowflakes, they began to devour the divine abilities that were bombarding him. A snowflake devoured a divine ability. What kind of method is this? Everyone had a dumbfounded expression. The methods of this young man were too strange and too powerful. It was truly inconceivable. Those snowflakes flew towards the crowd. Bang, bang, bang. Then, the snowflakes exploded. Terrifying energy surged out in an instant, shrouding the clones within it. Those snowflakes didn't explode individually. They exploded together. It was like a series of explosions. The power of a chain explosion would be magnified many times. Now, the power of the snowflakes exploding was magnified many times. The clones were blasted into smithereens. Of course, not all of the clones were destroyed. There were still many clones that had not been destroyed. Those clones that were not destroyed were quickly struck by lightning, because when the girl stepped forward, the clones began to shatter. Weak. You are still too weak. The girl's expression was indifferent as she looked at the Wan Shizong with disdain. How is this possible? The cultivators who were watching the show exclaimed, unable to believe their eyes. That youth. It could no longer be described as powerful. It would be more appropriate to use the word extreme pervert to describe it. Many people couldn't believe what they were seeing. However, all of this was real. Wan Shizong was originally confident that he could defeat the girl, but the result was hard for him to accept. That method just now was one of his trump cards. Yet, it was so easily broken by the other party. This kind of blow. It was huge. Whoosh. Wan Shizong waved his hand, and a treasure sword flew out. It was an ultimate true immortal sword. It was very powerful, and under Wan Shizong's control, it manifested streaks of sword chi. The sword chi combined and turned into a long sword chi dragon. The long sword chi dragon slashed towards the girl. There seemed to be an invisible barrier in front of the girl. When the sword chi dragon flew over, there were clanging sounds of collision. The streaks of sword chi seemed to be slashing at a powerful defensive magic treasure. The sword chi all shattered. The treasured sword was also sent flying by the impact. Now it is my turn to attack, the girl said with a cold smile. Hearing the girl's words, Wan Shizong acted as if he was facing a great enemy. He didn't dare to stay any longer and quickly retreated, trying to increase the distance between him and the girl. But at this time, the girl attacked. She made several hand seals, and then a sacred lotus descended from the sky. When he saw the descending Saint Lotus, he was shocked. Wan Shizong was shocked, because he felt an extremely terrifying aura from the sacred lotus. That aura. It made him feel like he had fallen into a bottomless abyss. The sacred lotus hid endless dangers. Wan Shizong saw that he couldn't dodge, so he took out a powerful defensive magic treasure. It was an umbrella. Wan Shizong opened the umbrella. Bam! At this time, the sacred lotus bloomed. When the sacred lotus bloomed, an extremely terrifying power surged out from the sacred lotus. That terrifying force directly slammed into Wan Shizong's body. The umbrella-shaped magic treasure protecting Wan Shizong was instantly destroyed. The magic treasure directly exploded. Wan Shizong was also affected. The moment the umbrella-shaped magic treasure was destroyed, he was also attacked by an extremely terrifying power. Wan Shizong couldn't bear the impact of that power. Because of that, he was sent flying. Wah! Wan Shizong couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. He tried his best to stabilize his body, but because of his heavy injuries, Wan Shizong couldn't stabilize his body. He fell to the ground. Wan Shizong lost. Not only did he lose, but he lost miserably. Just how strong is that young man? Many people exclaimed. The young man showed battle strength that exceeded their understanding. Of course, at this time, there were already some people who noticed that something was wrong. They noticed that the young man seemed to be a young girl. After discovering this, they were even more shocked. After all, in history, there was almost no such young and powerful girl. Of course, those people didn't say anything. The young girl planned to leave. However, she looked at Lin Feng. Then, the young girl walked towards Lin Feng. Seems like the target is us. Let's run. Du Zhu said. Why run? Who's afraid of who? At most, we'll just fight. Lung Zishi said. Actually, seeing the various methods the young girl showed, Lung Zishi was also a bit scared. The young girl was really too terrifying. She didn't know how she could be so strong. She could be weaker than her opponent, but she couldn't admit defeat. So, Lung Zishi didn't plan to leave. Soon, the young girl arrived at Lin Feng's place. The young girl looked coldly at Lin Feng and said, Do you still remember me? Of course. Lin Feng replied, You dare to look down on me? You're really reckless. Come out and fight with me. I can finish you in 3 moves. The young girl said coldly. End of chapter. Chapter 53:12. Lin Feng didn't like the girl's arrogant personality. The reason why the girl had such a personality, it probably had a lot to do with the girl's almost undefeated body. If it was anyone else who said this to me, they would have been dead long ago. However, because I made a deal with your ancestor, I can give your ancestor face and not attack you today. Lin Feng said with an indifferent expression. When the surrounding people heard Lin Feng's words, they were all speechless. Everyone knew what kind of terrifying existence that young man was. However, the human cultivator who appeared in front of him actually had such contempt for that youth. This was truly inconceivable to everyone. Many people were muttering, "Where did this guy get the courage to say those words? He should have already seen the youth make his move. Since he saw the youth make his move, he shouldn't be so contemptuous of the youth, right? But he actually did that. Could it be that he really had the strength to do so? I'll destroy you." The girl was angered by Lin Feng's words. She raised her hand and wanted to slap Lin Feng. But at this moment, a voice sounded, "Xiaoyi, stop." In the distance, the old man arrived with a group of people. Ancestor. After seeing the old man, the girl stopped. Although she really wanted to teach Lin Feng a lesson, let Lin Feng know how powerful she was. However, she would not go against the ancestor's words. Senior. Seeing the old man arrive, Lin Feng cupped his fists. The old man smiled and said, "She is still young and is easily impulsive. If she has offended you in any way, I hope you can forgive her." Seeing the ancestor being so polite to that hateful guy and even apologizing on her behalf, the girl felt extremely unhappy. However, she didn't say anything. She just kept staring at Lin Feng. Her fighting spirit was very strong. Obviously, she wouldn't let it go. Lin Feng said, "Naturally, I won't lower myself to the same level as nephew Gu." After exchanging a few words with the old man, Lin Feng and the others left together. "I think the 7 great powers will definitely attack those people," Lung Zishi said. Lin Feng said, "That elder is not simple. If the people from the 7 great powers want to deal with him, they will suffer heavy casualties. If the higher-ups of the 7 great powers are smart, they will not make a move." The elder and the others walked out of the city. They were going to the barren sky ridge. It was just a short rest in the Forsaken Heaven City. In addition, the young lady had caused trouble in the Forsaken Heaven City. Therefore, the old man did not wish to continue staying in the Forsaken Heaven City. If he continued to stay, there would definitely be a lot of trouble. "Ancestor, that guy is extremely detestable. Why do you keep stopping me from attacking him?" The young girl said gloomily. The elder replied, "That person is very terrifying. You're not his match." When the rest of the people heard the old ancestor's words, they were all shocked. They knew how powerful Xiao Yi was. But the ancestor said that Xiao Yi was not a match for that young human cultivator. Wasn't this too inconceivable? However, the ancestor did not seem to be joking at all. When the young girl heard the elder's words, she became extremely unconvinced. She said, "Ancestor, we haven't made a move yet, so we can't determine who is weak and who is strong. You must have sensed wrongly." The elder naturally knew what the young girl was thinking. He said, "Even if you sensed wrongly, try not to provoke such a person. Even if you can defeat him, you will definitely have to pay a heavy price. You can only befriend such a person and not offend him. You are too good at offending people. You should understand that there is always someone stronger than you. When you are outside, you should try to avoid conflicts. Who knows if there is a powerful force behind him that we can't afford to offend?" "Yes," the young girl replied. Although she seemed to have listened to the elder's words on the surface, she still did not agree with him. "Bastard, just you wait. When I have the chance, I will definitely beat you until you are looking for your teeth on the ground." The young girl thought viciously to herself. Back at his residence, he rested for the night. The next day, Lin Feng and the others went to check out of their rooms. Then they rushed to the barren sky ridge. On the way, they saw many cultivators flying in the direction of the barren sky ridge. This was normal. After all, the barren sky ridge was very famous. Many people would go to the barren sky ridge. They wanted to admire the barren sky ridge. The journey was safe and sound. Half a month later, Lin Feng and the others arrived at the barren sky ridge. The barren sky ridge was located in the central region of the barren sky ancient forest. The barren sky ridge was made up of 72 mountain ranges. The crisscrossing mountain ranges extended for hundreds of miles. Therefore, the barren sky ridge was extremely large. There was only one entrance to the barren sky ridge. This was because the other places had extremely powerful restrictions. Entering the barren sky ridge from other places was no different from suicide. There were indeed many people in the outer region of the barren sky ridge. Lin Feng and the others stood in the outer region of the barren sky ridge and looked inside. After arriving, Lin Feng's expression became extremely serious, because his blood was flowing at a much faster speed. He hadn't even entered the barren sky ridge yet. His sudden inspiration ability had already been activated. It was obvious. How dangerous was the barren sky ridge? The barren sky ridge was definitely more dangerous than any of the places of death Lin Feng had been to before. Those people are here too. Du Zhu pointed in a direction. Lin Feng looked over and saw the old man, the young woman, and the others. If Huang Tiandi is really alive and reunited with them, it will mean a lot to these people, Long Zishi said.
Yes.
Lin Feng said, it's hard to say whether the current Huang Tiandi is their ancestor or not. Lin Feng's words made sense. A powerful titled battle pet warrior was very attractive. Back then, Huang Tiandi had died. Naturally, it was normal for someone else to take his title. The descendants of Huang Tiandi couldn't be sure whether the Huang Tiandi was their ancestor or not. Therefore, they might enter to find Huang Tiandi. This was extremely risky. Of course, they could also try to contact Huang Tiandi through other methods. At this time, the people began to set up the altar. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. It seemed that they didn't want to risk entering the barren sky ridge. They wanted to use the sacrificial method to try to contact Huang Tiandi. It was just that he didn't know if this method would work. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Just as the descendants of Huang Tiandi were setting up the altar, a large number of strong cultivators flew over from the distance. They were all experts from the 7 major powers of the barren sky region. End of chapter. Chapter 53:13. There were about 200 experts from the 7 great powers of the Forsaken Heaven region. The leader was an old man. The old man was tall and sturdy, and he gave off the aura of a superior. He was extremely powerful. Apart from the old man, there were also some top experts. The 7 great powers of the Forsaken Heaven region had many experts. These people, they obviously came with ill intentions. They surrounded the descendants of Heavenly Emperor Huang. What's going on? Why are the experts of the 7 great powers surrounding those people? Some cultivators asked, puzzled. It seemed that the cultivator who asked this question, he probably didn't know that those people were the descendants of Heavenly Emperor Huang. At that moment, a cultivator who knew the truth said, those people are the descendants of Heavenly Emperor Huang. Previously, the descendants of Heavenly Emperor Huang clashed with some cultivators from the 7 great powers and even crippled many of them. Even a top genius like the Thousand World Sect was beaten half to death. The grudge between the two sides has been completely formed. The 7 great powers are naturally not people who will suffer in silence. That's why so many people have come this time to take revenge on the descendants of Heavenly Emperor Huang. Are they really the descendants of Heavenly Emperor Huang? Some cultivators were shocked. It was rumored that Heavenly Emperor Huang's family had been destroyed, so everyone thought that Heavenly Emperor Huang had no descendants. The cultivators who had gone to the Forsaken Heaven City had heard some things about the descendants of Heavenly Emperor Huang. However, only a portion of the cultivators who came to the Forsaken Heaven Ridge came from the Forsaken Heaven City. That was why many people didn't know about the descendants of Heavenly Emperor Huang. It should be, a cultivator said. Many people were shocked. It was widely rumored that Heavenly Emperor Huang was still alive and that his descendants had appeared. Could they have gotten some reliable information? Was Heavenly Emperor Huang really still alive? If this ancient expert was still alive, it was enough to shock the world. Everyone, why are you surrounding us? A middle-aged cultivator asked in a low voice. Although he was surrounded by a large number of cultivators, the middle-aged cultivator was still calm. You crippled so many people from the 7 great powers. Hand over the culprit. Otherwise, don't blame us for being merciless. An expert from the 7 great powers said coldly, Hee, I just crippled a bunch of trash. If you want to take revenge for those trash, I don't mind crippling you as well. The young girl sneered. Her arrogance seemed to be emitted from her bones. The surrounding cultivators who were watching the show couldn't help but discuss spiritedly. The young girl's words naturally left them in disbelief. Such a young cultivator. How could he dare to say such words? The cultivators who had walked out of the Forsaken Heaven City were not surprised. A mere junior dares to act so arrogantly just because you have some strength? Do you really think that none of the 7 great powers can stop you? A cultivator in his 30s from the 7 great powers said with a sneer, Yang Ming, this was a powerful existence. He was an expert with a strong foundation. It was said that he had cultivated for 270,000 years, but he had stepped into the golden immortal realm. He's different from those old and weak cultivators. He's still very young, so his blood chi is still very strong. That's why he's so strong. A cultivator recognized the identity of the cultivator who spoke and said aloud. When Yang Ming's identity was revealed, many people felt very surprised because many people had heard of Yang Ming. But no one had seen Yang Ming before. Now that they saw Yang Ming, they were naturally shocked. Yang Ming, he was indeed an extremely terrifying existence. Yang Ming slapped his palm towards the young girl. A large energy handprint formed in the void. That energy handprint blasted towards the young girl. The young girl sneered. She slapped out across the void. Her attack also condensed into a large energy handprint. That energy handprint blasted towards Yang Ming's energy handprint. Bang! The 2 energy handprints collided in the void, and then both were annihilated. All-directional nirvana. Suddenly, the young girl shouted softly. Both of her hands were constantly changing hand seals. This was the first time the young girl was so serious. When she was dealing with the Thousand World sect and the others, she seemed to be a little careless. After all, her current opponent was a golden immortal. And a golden immortal with a strong blood chi. So, no matter how arrogant the young girl was, she would still take her opponent seriously. All-directional destruction. Yang Ming sneered. He also used an extremely tyrannical divine ability. The power of nirvana and the power of destruction formed in the void. Both sides used their divine abilities. After a powerful attack was brewed, it collided again. This time, Yang Ming's divine ability was actually broken by the young girl's divine ability. Then, Yang Ming was blasted away. Wah! Yang Ming couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. His face also became pale. Yang Ming is injured. He is a golden immortal powerhouse. He was actually injured by a teenage young girl. This is too unbelievable, right? Many people started to discuss. They simply couldn't believe what they saw. But everything that happened in front of them was real. They had to believe it even if they didn't want to. Those cultivators who knew that the young girl was strong before couldn't help but feel extremely shocked when they saw the young girl defeated Yang Ming. After all, Yang Ming was not someone the Thousand World sect and the others could compare to. The cultivators of the 7 major forces couldn't help but have their faces suddenly sank. Many powerhouses revealed a dense killing intent in their eyes. Since both sides had become enemies, they couldn't let such a powerful person go, or else she would be a huge threat in the future. That little girl can actually defeat a golden immortal. That's too abnormal. Du Zhu said. Lin Feng couldn't help but nod. He said, it's really strange. Logically speaking, at her age, she shouldn't be so strong. I don't know how she increased her strength. If she was enlightened by someone, then it's fine. If she increased her strength by herself, then it's too terrifying. She shouldn't have increased her strength by herself, right? Lung Zishi couldn't help but say. However, when she said this, she was very lacking in confidence. Because Lung Zishi had a strange feeling. She felt that young girl might have increased her strength by herself. Do it. The old man who led the 7 major forces waved his hand. After receiving the order, the more than 200 powerhouses of the 7 major forces all revealed killing intent. It seemed that the powerhouses of the 7 major forces wanted to join forces to kill the descendant of Heavenly Emperor Huang. End of chapter. Chapter 53:14. Just as the experts from the seven great powers were about to attack, the old man from the Huang celestial emperor's side suddenly snorted coldly. As soon as he spoke, a terrifying pressure spread out from his body. That pressure was simply too terrifying. It was as if an ancient titled god had awakened. Such a powerful aura was terrifying. The cultivators from the seven great powers who were about to attack paled when they sensed the pressure coming from the old man's body. Only now did they realize how terrifying the old man was. He was simply an undefeatable existence. The cultivators who were about to attack no longer dared to do so. They all looked at the old man in horror. What a powerful aura! Lin Feng took a deep breath. Even with his current cultivation level, he couldn't help but feel a sense of heaviness when he sensed the terrifying aura coming from the old man. The old man's battle prowess. He was absolutely tyrannical to an unfathomable extent. Duzu said, "I wonder what era that old man is from. He looks like he has one foot in the grave, but he's still so powerful. He's really powerful." Lung Zishi said, "He's from the ancient chaos era." The ancient chaos era? How can you tell that he's from the ancient chaos era? Lin Feng looked at Lung Zishi with a puzzled expression. Lung Zishi said, "His aura. He has an aura unique to the ancient chaos era. This aura has fused with his body, his soul, and his magic power. Therefore, he should be from the ancient chaos era." This was one of Lung Zishi's special abilities. She could tell which era a person was from. Lin Feng hadn't expected the old man to be an expert from the ancient chaos era. It was true. It was too ancient. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. He said, "If he's from the ancient chaos era, doesn't that mean he's seen the Huang celestial emperor?" "Yes." Lung Zishi nodded. "We were wrong." The old man who was leading the seven forces said with a pale face. In fact, this old man was very powerful. Even in the era of titled gods, he was considered an extremely powerful expert. However, it was nothing in front of the old man from the Huang celestial emperor's bloodline. His heart. He was trembling. If he had known earlier that the old man from Huangtian emperor's bloodline was so powerful, he would not have come to find trouble with these people. Right now, he had kicked an iron plate. It was no longer a matter of shame. What if the other party really wanted to kill them? Who knew how many people would die on their side? Scram. The old man from Huangtian emperor's lineage said coldly. In fact, he was usually a good-tempered person, but today was very important to them. He was in a hurry to worship his ancestors. However, he was delayed by the people of the seven major forces. Naturally, he was furious. However, he was not a bloodthirsty person. Therefore, he didn't attack the cultivators of the seven major powers. He was reprimanded in front of everyone. The top experts of the seven forces felt extremely aggrieved and furious. However, who asked the other party to be so powerful? This was a world where the strong preyed on the weak. Not strong enough. Being humiliated by others. No matter how aggrieved he was, he had to hold it in. No one would pity him. "Let's go." The old man who was the leader of the seven major forces said in a deep voice. Then, he didn't dare to stay any longer. He quickly flew into the distance. The rest of the people naturally didn't dare to stay any longer. Although they hated the old man from Huangtian emperor's bloodline to the core. However, they didn't dare to show it now. In the blink of an eye, the cultivators of the seven major forces fled without a trace. The surrounding cultivators who were watching the show were all dumbfounded. Then, those cultivators began to discuss spiritedly. In the Forsaken Heaven region, he actually dared to tell the cultivators of the seven major forces to scram. How domineering. After the people of the seven major forces left, the descendants of Huangtian Emperor began to prepare to worship Huangtian Emperor. The old man stood at the front. The young girl stood beside the old man. Her body was slightly behind the old man by half a body. The rest of the people were divided into 3 rows and stood behind the old man. From the way they stood, it could be seen how extraordinary the young girl's identity was. These people all held a bunch of incense in their hands. The old man whispered, "A few days ago, I heard that the ancestor had not fallen. After receiving this news, I was very happy. This time, I led my clansmen to seek an audience with the ancestor. I hope that the ancestor can meet us. After chanting, the old man knelt in front of the altar. 3 kneels and 9 kowtows. The rest of the people followed the old man and knelt and kowtowed. After the sacrifice, these people inserted the lit incense in their hands into the incense burner. Then, they hoped that some miracle would happen. However, nothing happened. Lin Feng said, "Looks like the sacrifice is useless. I don't think the old man will give up. He will definitely go in and search." Yes, Lung Zishi, Du Zhu, and the evil sovereign sacred ancestor nodded. "Ancestor, what should we do now?" The young girl looked at the old man and asked. "You guys wait outside. I'll go in." The old man said, "Ancestor, we'll go in with you." The group of people hurriedly said, "No need. It was too dangerous inside. It's useless to send so many people. I'll go in by myself," the old man said. The others also knew the old man's temper. Although they didn't insist, the young girl said, "Ancestor, let me go with you." "You can't go in either," the old man said. The young girl said, "I know you're worried about my safety, but I think that since the ancestor hasn't contacted us for so many years, he probably doesn't want to see us. Even if you go, the ancestor probably won't see you. However, if I go, the situation will be completely different." The old man frowned slightly, as if thinking about something. In the end, he nodded and said, "All right, then the 2 of us will go in together." Seeing that the old man had agreed, the young girl immediately nodded excitedly. They didn't stop and directly flew towards the wasteland ridge. "Ancestor, you have to be careful," the others reminded him. "We will." The old man and the young girl nodded. Very quickly, the 2 of them entered the wasteland ridge. "Let's go in as well," Long Zishi said. Lin Feng said, "We won't go in now. Let's wait." "Why?" Long Zishi asked, puzzled. "My blood is flowing very quickly. I feel that something terrifying might be coming out from the depths of the wasteland ridge. Let's wait for that terrifying existence to leave before going in," Lin Feng said. End of chapter. Chapter 53:15. The ability of sudden inspiration was not to be underestimated. This ability could often save a cultivator's life. It could allow a cultivator to avoid certain death. Lung Zishi and the others were well aware of this. When they heard Lin Feng's words, they couldn't help but tremble slightly. They didn't doubt Lin Feng's senses at all. That sense of danger hadn't disappeared. Lin Feng didn't know if the old man and the girl from Huang Tian Emperor's bloodline would encounter that existence. Entering the barren heaven ridge was already a huge risk. That place was a place that ate people without leaving a single bone behind. The slightest carelessness could lead to a tragic death. On the second day, that sense of danger had finally disappeared. Lin Feng couldn't help but reveal a trace of joy on his face. That terrifying existence had already left? Perhaps so. Otherwise, how could that sense of danger disappear? Lin Feng said, "We can enter now, but everyone should be careful. This place is extremely dangerous. You can encounter terrifying things at any time." Everyone nodded. Even someone as fearless as Long Zishi couldn't help but become serious at this moment. She wasn't stupid and naturally knew how dangerous it was inside. Entering a place like this, one had to be extra careful. Otherwise, one could die. Lin Feng's group of 4 flew towards the barren heaven ridge. Look, someone else went in. Some cultivators who were watching the barren heaven ridge pointed at Lin Feng's group. Then someone said, "There are always some people in this world who aren't afraid of death. They might think that they're lucky and can bring out some amazing things from the barren heaven ridge, but after entering the barren heaven ridge, they'll realize how stupid this idea is. Entering the barren heaven ridge is like stepping into hell." Another cultivator said. The barren heaven ridge was indeed terrifying. To cultivators, it was a place they couldn't touch. As for Lin Feng's group, they naturally didn't hear the cultivators' discussion. They entered the barren heaven ridge. The barren heaven ridge was filled with a faint brown gas. So, the visibility was not particularly high. The scene beyond 100 meters was not particularly clear. The aura of this place was extremely eerie and terrifying. "Our target is the 7th mountain," Lin Feng said. "Now, Lin Feng planned to look for the stone scripture. As for whether or not he was going to look for Huang Tiandi, he would make plans after he found the stone scripture. After all, Heavenly Emperor Huang was in the deepest part of the barren heaven ridge. How difficult would it be to enter the deepest part to find him? Lin Feng also knew how dangerous and difficult this was. Therefore, for the time being, it was best to take things one step at a time. I've heard of the sage's stone scripture many times. Now, I'm finally going to see it, Lung Zishi said excitedly. In fact, many people had heard of the stone scriptures of the celestial masters. This was a heaven-defying treasure, a supreme treasure nurtured by the heavens and earth. Its value was unimaginable. Lin Feng led everyone deeper into the forest. Along the way, they saw many skeletons. There were cultivator skeletons, as well as some ferocious beast skeletons. The cultivator skeletons were probably cultivators who had died in the barren heaven ridge. The ferocious beast skeletons were uncertain. It was possible that the ferocious beasts outside had entered the barren heaven ridge. They had died in the barren heaven ridge, or they could have been killed by the ferocious beasts inside. However, Lin Feng felt that they were ferocious beasts outside. The ferocious beasts inside the barren heaven ridge were usually extremely powerful. Therefore, it would not be easy to kill them. Whoosh! Suddenly, a black thing flew toward Du Zhu, then bit Du Zhu's neck gently. Du Zhu was in pain. He grabbed the thing. Devil ant, after seeing that thing, Du Zhu exclaimed. Then, Du Zhu's face began to darken. Du Zhu almost fell to the ground. Fortunately, the evil dominator divine ancestor supported him. Du Zhu was known as the ancestor of all poisons. However, after being bitten by the devil ant, he was deeply poisoned. This was too inconceivable. If someone else was bitten by the devil ant, wouldn't they die without a burial place? Just thinking about it made one's hair stand on end. Du Zhu said, "Let's go." The devil ants live in groups. They are definitely one of the most poisonous creatures in the world. They are very aggressive. If we are surrounded by them, we will definitely die. Hearing this, Lin Feng and the others' faces changed. Let's go, let's go. Follow behind me. Don't get lost, Lin Feng said in a low voice. He quickly rushed forward. The void was densely covered with countless restrictions. These restrictions were invisible to the naked eye. Other than the restrictions, there were also many natural places of death. Once one fell into those places of death, only death would await them. Fortunately, Lin Feng was powerful. He led everyone through quickly. They avoided many restrictions and places of death. There are devil ants behind us, the demonic dominator divine ancestor said with an ugly expression. Lin Feng looked behind them and saw a large number of devil ants flying towards them. If they were caught by those devil ants, they would definitely die. Lin Feng quickly summoned his insect swarm. The insect swarm flew towards the devil ants. They engaged in a fierce battle with the devil ants. Lin Feng and the others took advantage of this opportunity to quickly leave. However, the insect swarm that Lin Feng summoned was completely annihilated. Lin Feng couldn't help but feel his heart ache. In order to stop the devil ants, he had lost a third of his insect swarm. Damn it! Lin Feng couldn't help but curse. Encountering such a situation was indeed a bit vexing. At this time, Du Zhu's body wasn't doing well. He needed the demonic dominator divine ancestor to carry him forward. Du Zhu, how are you? Lin Feng looked worriedly at Du Zhu. Du Zhu grinned. I've been hunting geese all day, but today I got pecked in the eye by one. I didn't expect the devil ants to be so poisonous. But don't worry, young master. I won't die. I need a good rest. I'll be able to recover soon. Lin Feng nodded. He led the others to a cave and then sealed it with restrictions. Everyone needed to catch their breath. Du Zhu's body was sometimes cold and sometimes hot. It was only after midnight that everything returned to normal. Lin Feng and the others could finally relax. 2 hours later, Du Zhu opened his eyes. Have you recovered? Lin Feng asked. I've recovered. Du Zhu nodded and then said with a smile, not only have I recovered, but I've also gained benefits. Perhaps I'll be able to break through soon. Hearing this, Lin Feng couldn't help but feel happy for Du Zhu. It seemed that the devil ant's poison had become the catalyst for Du Zhu's breakthrough. Duzu had broken through again. That was the true immortal realm. Once he broke through to the true immortal realm, he would shed his mortal body. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile version of reading website. Chapter 53:16. It was too late at night to go out. The later it was, the more dangerous it would be to go out. But at around 3 in the morning, Lin Feng and the others heard the sounds of fighting coming from the depths of the forest. There were roaring sounds. At the same time, they sensed powerful energy fluctuations. There's a huge battle in the depths, the demonic sovereign said. Lin Feng nodded. There was indeed a huge battle in the depths. Lung Zishi said, could it be that the old man and girl from the Huangtian Emperor's bloodline were attacked by some terrifying creatures in the Forbidden Zone? That's possible, Lin Feng said. After thinking for a moment, Lin Feng added, but it's also possible that some of the creatures in the barren heaven ridge are fighting each other. They're not united, and it's the law of the jungle. The night was not peaceful. The battle, it didn't end until dawn. The barren heaven ridge regained its peace, as if nothing had happened. However, everyone knew. What kind of terrifying thing had happened in the barren heaven ridge? We need to hurry. Hopefully, we can reach that place as soon as possible, Lin Feng said. The others nodded. Under Lin Feng's lead, the group continued deeper into the barren heaven ridge. During the day, some terrifying creatures would appear in the barren heaven ridge. However, during the day, there were far fewer creatures than during the night. Lin Feng and the others were attacked by a crow in the 4th mountain range. Crows represented bad luck, especially the crow's cry. It sounded eerie and terrifying. The crow was very powerful. Lin Feng and the others joined forces to fight it. However, they were still no match for the crow. I will eat your souls. The crow spoke. Lin Feng and the others didn't find it strange that the crow could speak. After all, it was a crow from the Forbidden Zone. It was not an ordinary crow. In the outside world, crows were considered low-level creatures. However, in the Forbidden Zone, everything was different. The crow wanted to kill Lin Feng and the others. The situation was dangerous. At that moment, Lung Zishi took out a treasure. It was a supreme treasure similar to the deity whipping whip. However, it was clear that it was not a god-striking whip. Instead, it was called a demon-striking whip. Its power was extremely tyrannical. As long as he pulled it out, he would definitely be able to hit that crow. This was a forbidden artifact. There was only one last chance left. Originally, Lung Zishi didn't want to use this treasure. However, if they didn't use this treasure now, they might be killed by this annoying crow. Therefore, only then did Lung Zishi take out this powerful supreme treasure. That's not fair. If you put down this treasure and fight, I'll kill you like a bunch of ants, Crow said angrily. Are you stupid? Why should I put down this treasure? Lung Zishi said speechlessly. I'll beat you to death. I'll beat you to death. Lung Zishi continued to attack Crow with the demon-lashing whip. Whip after whip struck Crow's body. Many feathers on Crow's body fell off. Lin Feng felt some curse power from those feathers, which made Lin Feng very surprised. He looked at Crow and said, You're a cursed creature? No, you're actually not a crow. You're a cultivator, but you've already lost your physical body. Your soul is sealed in Crow's body. Am I right? Don't talk about this. Don't talk about this. Don't talk about this. Crow immediately screamed. For it, this was something it never wanted to remember. It really wanted to forget that it was a cultivator. However, it couldn't forget all of this. Everything in the past. It was torturing it. This caused Crow to feel incomparable pain. It quickly flew into the distance and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Seeing Crow fly away, Lin Feng couldn't help but let out a long sigh. Although the demon-lashing whip in Lung Zishi's hand was powerful, it was still a forbidden weapon after all. Lin Feng discovered that although Crow was being beaten until it cried out loudly, but in reality, it didn't suffer any fatal injuries, and the power of the demon-lashing whip was constantly weakening. When the demon-lashing whip couldn't be used, it would be dangerous. However, Lin Feng discovered Crow's secret, so he used words to provoke Crow. This kind of cursed creature was often very sensitive, especially The existence that was sealed in Crow's body was an expert that could call the wind and summon the rain outside. However, it had lost its physical body and was sealed in the body of a crow. This was a huge blow to it. This kind of thing was definitely something it didn't want to remember the most. And the actual situation was just as Lin Feng had guessed. When Lin Feng said this matter, that guy really couldn't take it. He quickly left. It's getting late. Let's find a place to hide, Lin Feng said. He didn't want to travel at night, especially in a place like the Life Forbidden Zone. If they traveled at night, it would be too dangerous. Who knew what kind of things they would encounter at night? Of course, hiding wasn't necessarily safe, because some existences had incomparably strong perception. Even if they hid, they might be discovered by those existences. When the time came, they would still be attacked. But there was one thing that was very important. The probability of being discovered while hiding was much lower than being discovered outside the Life Forbidden Zone. Lin Feng and the others once again found a hidden place to rest. It was a dry cave. The area wasn't small. Lin Feng used a restriction to seal the entrance. Then they began to rest and recover. The sky was getting dark. Gradually, it became dark. The aura in the Life Forbidden Zone became colder and colder. From time to time, they could hear the roars of beasts coming from the forest. Around dawn, a cold and gloomy aura seeped into the cave from the outside. When they felt this cold aura, Lin Feng and the others were alarmed. Their expressions became extremely unsightly. They hurriedly got up and went to the entrance of the cave. They looked outside. They saw a mass of darkness coming in from outside. That mass of darkness, it was a light that swallowed everything. In the darkness, who knew what kind of terrifying existence was hibernating? The existence in the darkness seemed to have discovered Lin Feng and the others. This is going to be troublesome. Lin Feng's expression became gloomy. If they were discovered by these terrifying existences at night, it would be extremely dangerous. Because if a battle broke out, it was very likely that the other Life Forbidden Zones would be attracted. When that time came, they would be surrounded by many Life Forbidden Zones, and it would be difficult for them to escape. End of chapter. Chapter 53:17. What should we do now? Lung Zishi asked. Even with her fearless personality, she couldn't help but be extremely worried. No one could remain calm. The situation in front of them was extremely dangerous. If they were careless, he would die and his Tao would vanish. Why don't we break out of the encirclement? Think of a way to get rid of this guy. We can't let it hold us back. Otherwise, when the other creatures of the restricted area are attracted over, it will be even more troublesome. Du Zhu said. Lin Feng said, let's wait and see. Let's see if there's a chance for things to turn around. Everyone nodded. They were all very nervous. The darkness was approaching. Not long after, the darkness arrived outside. But at this moment, the darkness actually left quickly. It actually left. That's really strange. Du Zhu couldn't help but mutter. This was indeed strange. That guy actually left without a sound. Previously, Lin Feng and the others thought that this battle was inevitable. Why did this happen? Lin Feng couldn't help but say, even though he really wanted to see some turning point. However, when the turning point really came, Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter. What exactly happened? Could it be that there's some terrifying existence in this place? Lung Zishi said, although the cave isn't small, we've already observed it. How could there be any terrifying existence? Lin Feng said, then what's going on? Lung Zishi said doubtfully. Let's look around again. Lin Feng said. The few of them separated. They started a carpet search. They still didn't find anything special, other than a pile of useless rocks. There was nothing else. That's not right. There's something wrong with that pile of useless rocks. Suddenly, Lin Feng seemed to have discovered something. He looked at the pile of rocks again, because he did notice that something was wrong. It was a pile of discarded stones. It gave Lin Feng a very strange feeling. This feeling is like, the pile of discarded stones did not look like a pile of stones. Instead, it was like a corpse lying on the ground. Lin Feng didn't know why he had such a strange feeling. However, Lin Feng planned to carefully examine the pile of stones. He came to the side of the pile of rocks and tried to pry them apart. What did you find? Lung Zishi, Du Zhu, the evil dominator, and the divine ancestors also came over after noticing the situation. Lung Zishi looked at Lin Feng and asked. Lin Feng said, I feel that there's something special about this pile of stones. I want to see if there's anything special about them. In the end, Lin Feng completely pried open the stone. Then, there was a look of surprise on his face. Because, under the waste rocks, Lin Feng actually found a head. This was the head of a stone man. Of course, it could also be a sculpture. But Lin Feng felt that it shouldn't be a sculpture. If it was just a sculpture's head, how could it scare away the darkness? Could it be that a stone man fell here? Du Zhu said. Lin Feng nodded his head. There was really such a possibility. An extremely tyrannical stone man had finally fallen in this place. What puzzled Lin Feng the most was that after the stone man's body shattered, there didn't seem to be any powerful aura emitted. Why? Did that mass of darkness still leave? This was something that he couldn't understand, because Lin Feng didn't feel any aura of life from the broken stone man. Logically speaking, such a stone man should no longer be a threat. But that wasn't the case. Lin Feng tried to take the stone man's head out of the waste rocks. The head was almost split in half. Lin Feng's palm was cut by the edges. Fresh blood flowed out. What sharp edges? It's definitely a stone man's body. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so sharp. Lin Feng said. The others nodded. After Lin Feng took out the stone man's head, after carefully observing it, he found that there was nothing special about the stone man's head. It had long lost all vitality and was no different from an ordinary stone. I think it's better to bury him so that he can rest in peace, Lung Zishi said. Lin Feng nodded his head and put the stone man's head back, then piled up the stones again. Then, he stood up and bowed 3 times. Then, he said, Senior, this junior didn't mean to offend you. I hope you can forgive me. I hope you can rest in peace here. Lung Zishi, Du Zhu, and the evil dominator also bowed 3 times towards the pile of stones. After doing this, Lin Feng and the others went to rest. In the following time, no more terrifying existences discovered Lin Feng and the others. Of course, it was also possible that some terrifying existences discovered Lin Feng and the others, but those terrifying existences didn't dare to come here. In the end, they all left. The next day, after Lin Feng and the others left the cave, they continued to walk deeper into the mountain. In the afternoon, they successfully arrived at the 7th mountain. They walked towards the depths of the 7th mountain. The 7th mountain was naturally very dangerous. There was a large area in the depths. It wasn't easy to find a cave. Lin Feng and the others began to search for that cave. They found more than 10 caves and searched them one by one, but they didn't find anything. We've searched all the caves, but why isn't the cave where the stone scripture is? Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. He tried to circulate the stone emperor scripture passed down by the celestial masters. This was a cultivation technique that the cultivators of the celestial masters mainly cultivated. It was a mysterious cultivation technique that was passed down from the stone scripture. Lin Feng hoped to use the stone emperor scripture. It could be used to communicate with the celestial master's sacred item, the stone scripture. After circulating the stone emperor scripture, Lin Feng indeed felt a special aura. That special aura seemed to be calling out to Lin Feng. Lin Feng walked towards the left side of the cave. After a short time, he stopped because there was a gigantic cliff. There was no path ahead. Is this our final destination? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter. A loud rumbling sound was heard. About 100 meters above the rock wall, a large number of rock walls suddenly collapsed. Then, rubble fell down. Lin Feng and the others quickly retreated to avoid being hit by the rubble. When they looked up, they saw that there was no one there. A huge cave had appeared where the rock wall had collapsed. Could it be that the stone scripture is in that cave? Lung Zishi immediately became excited. Lin Feng nodded and said, It might really be in that cave. Let's go up and take a look. When Lin Feng finished talking, he started flying towards the cave. He entered the cave. The rest of the people followed closely behind and entered the cave one after another. End of chapter. Chapter 53:18. The cave was deep and serene. It exuded a gloomy aura. After sensing the qi inside the cave, Lin Feng didn't find it strange at all. Was there a pure land in this place? At the very least, Lin Feng had yet to discover where the pure land was. Although this was a cave that had just appeared, Lin Feng and the others were still very careful. Who knew whether or not a terrifying thing would suddenly jump out from inside? After walking for about 15 minutes, Lin Feng and the others saw the belly of a mountain. It seemed that they were about to reach their destination. Finally, they entered the belly of the mountain. After entering the belly of the mountain, they saw an altar in the middle of the mountain. A table was placed on top of the altar. A stone scripture was placed on the table. When Lin Feng saw the stone scripture, his eyes lit up. The stone scripture was really here. They had finally found the stone scripture. This was really good news. However, Lin Feng did not act rashly because the stone scripture was placed on the altar. Why was the stone scripture placed on the altar? What was the origin of the altar? What was the purpose of the altar? Who built this altar? These were all things that Lin Feng did not understand. Therefore, Lin Feng wanted to observe for now. He wanted to see what was going on. There seems to be something wrong with this altar. Lung Zishi said. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. He looked at Lung Zishi and asked, "What's wrong?" Lung Zishi said, "I've seen an altar before. That altar was very similar to this one." The altar that Lung Zishi saw should be the one that appeared in the wasteland. However, Lin Feng did not know what the altar was used for. But it must be extraordinary, right? What's so special about the altar you're talking about? Lin Feng asked curiously. That altar killed a ruler before, Lung Zishi said. Hiss. Lin Feng could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. This altar had once crushed a Hejimin to death. The sovereign that Lung Zishi mentioned was the sovereign of the wasteland. Lin Feng didn't know how powerful the ruler of the wasteland was. The only thing he was clear about was ordinary Saint Realm experts. None of them were qualified to become the ruler of the wasteland. This was the terror of the ruler of the wastelands. If someone had told Lin Feng that the ruler of the wasteland had surpassed the Saint Realm, he would have been shocked. Lin Feng wouldn't find it strange. Everything was possible. What ruler? Where had the sovereign been killed? Even though they're all sovereigns, there's still a hierarchy between them. At that moment, the poison ancestor spoke. Duzu didn't know much about Lung Zishi. He didn't even know Lung Zishi's background. He only knew that there was some ambiguity between Lin Feng and Lung Zishi. Other than that, he did not know anything else. Lung Zishi replied, "The ruler of the wastelands." Duzu and the heretical sovereign's sacred ancestor's lips twitched violently after hearing this. Wasteland. What a resounding name. The reputation of the wastelands even surpassed that of the three supreme realms. It was a truly chaotic place, and one that was on the level of a higher realm. Think about it. The top experts of the celestial realm, the primal chaos, the Xinhuang realm, the netherworld, and the other realms would all head to the wastelands. Apart from that, even the races that had transcended epics would compete in the wastelands. Duzu and the heretical sovereign's sacred ancestor had never expected this. Lung Zishi, this crazy girl who was always boisterous and violent, was actually a cultivator from the wastelands. This truly shocked Duzu and the heretical sovereign's sacred ancestor. Lin Feng asked curiously, "How did that altar kill that existence?" Lung Zishi replied, "I'm not too sure about the specifics. After all, it's been too long. But there's one thing I remember clearly, and that's that there are too many similarities between the two altars. Thus, when we face such an altar, we have to be extra careful." Lin Feng couldn't help but rub his chin. Lung Zishi's warning was very important. However, if he wanted to obtain the Stone Sutra, he had to take a risk. Otherwise, everything would be for naught. Lin Feng circled the altar and observed it. He couldn't find anything special. Lin Feng continued to cultivate the Stone Emperor Sutra. At that moment, the Stone Emperor Sutra on the altar seemed to sense something. It actually emitted a slight fluctuation. When he saw this, Lin Feng immediately revealed a look of joy. Lin Feng tried to take the Stone Emperor Sutra out through the air. However, the Stone Emperor Sutra seemed to be frozen. No matter how hard Lin Feng tried, he couldn't take it out through the air. It seemed that There was only one way to take the Stone Emperor Sutra, and that was to ascend the altar. The Stone Emperor Sutra can sense me. Whether or not there's any danger, I need to ascend the altar and take the Stone Emperor Sutra. Wait for me outside. Don't rashly enter the altar to avoid any accidents, Lin Feng said. Hearing this, everyone couldn't help but nod. Everyone knew that Lin Feng's methods were powerful. Therefore, they didn't want to cause trouble for Lin Feng. Lin Feng took a deep breath and walked towards the altar. Soon, Lin Feng ascended the altar. Originally, Lin Feng and the others were very nervous. However, Lin Feng ascended the altar. The altar didn't change at all. This scene made everyone feel a little relieved. Lin Feng also felt a little relieved. Lin Feng walked towards the Stone Emperor Sutra. As he got closer to the Stone Emperor Sutra, Lin Feng discovered that the fluctuations of the Stone Emperor Sutra were becoming more and more intense. Lin Feng couldn't help but smile. Actually, Lin Feng was worried that the Stone Emperor Sutra wouldn't recognize him as its master. This kind of thing often happened in the world of cultivators. Now, it seemed that the Stone Emperor Sutra wouldn't resist his refinement. Lin Feng reached out and picked up the Stone Emperor Sutra. The moment Lin Feng picked up the Stone Emperor Sutra, the entire altar began to shake violently. Lin Feng's expression couldn't help but change slightly. Picking up the Stone Emperor Sutra, there was a terrifying change. Lin Feng quickly put the Stone Emperor Sutra back to its original place, hoping that everything would return to normal. However, even though Lin Feng put the Stone Emperor Sutra back to its original place, the altar was still shaking violently. Crack, crack. The sound of cracking could be heard. There were many cracks around the altar. After seeing those cracks, Lin Feng didn't even think and quickly rushed out. Go! Lin Feng shouted in a deep voice. Everyone didn't dare to hesitate. He hurriedly rushed outside. But at this moment, something terrible happened. An extremely powerful demonic aura escaped from the broken altar. The demonic aura covered the sky and covered the sun. It directly blocked the way out. Lin Feng and the others were trapped in the belly of the mountain. End of chapter. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.